Coffee and Cream on Hail Varsity Radio with Andrew Rogers and Damon Benning.
Good morning, everybody. Friday morning here on Coffee and Cream in the morning on Hail Varsity Radio, powered by Currency. He's Damon Benning. I'm Andrew Rogers, and we are live from the H&H Chevrolet stage at Hail Varsity Club. Did you know today's a live event? Anybody out there?
It's awful cold.
It is freezing. But we have pancakes today.
So come get you some warm pancakes.
It's pancake time.
Pancakes.
Somebody that we used to grow up
idolizing?
with. No. So we had a family
Is
friend.
this in the neighborhood?
Family friend back in St. Louis.
In your neighborhood?
Not in my neighborhood. No. Maybe my dad's. He's Mr. Rogers.
So it was probably somebody like Tom Smith, Mark Williams.
John Tremblay was his name.
Oh, Tremblay threw me for a curveball.
And we would attend.
That's a regular 6 to 10 right there.
Yeah, exactly.
I was thinking like Pat
You
Smith.
swung and missed. It was 1K.
Mark Todd. Somebody like that.
Tim McCarver.
Hashtag too soon.
He could have been in my neighborhood.
Where's
though.
Tim McCarver at?
St. Louis.
Wow.
Rest in peace, Tim McCarver.
You're a real class act, Dion. Real class act.
No, so we would attend high school games of my cousin, and he was a lineman. And Tremblay was always this big, booming voice, and he would just scream out, "It's pancake time!" That's what I feel like right now because we have pancakes being delivered to our friends up front.
Yeah. Is that Mary Kate and Ashley?
It is Mary Kate and Ashley.
And is she going to pick over? What is she going to eat first off that plate?
The fruit.
You serious?
Yeah.
Ready? All right. $10 bet?
$10 bet.
No. But if you're wrong, I will laugh at you because you guys are a thing and you should know that.
And she's going to pray first.
Yeah, I would too. We hold hands at the dinner table.
We always pray before dinner.
Do you go old school or are you like, God is good, God is great, thank you for the food we ate?
No, in the Catholic faith, we just have a blessing that everybody says. It's a universal one.
Okay, what would that be?
Bless us, O Lord.
Bless us, O
thy
Lord.
Gifts, which we're about to receive from thy bounty through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen. So if it was my mom, she would say, Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you for this food we're about to receive. May it strengthen and nourish our body. Amen.
Every time?
Oh, yeah. Now, like if something's going on or if something's like on our heart, we'll say it, like we'll pray for health or good discernment or judgment or to be able to deal with Andrew Rogers early in the morning or whatever. Just whatever comes up, it tugs at your heartstrings.
She's got to deal with me every day. You just have to deal with me for 3 hours.
We're going to talk about that delivery at some point, though. I mean, it was the coolest, funniest thing ever. It was so subtle, but I looked and I thought to myself, that's a man in control.
Whoa.
It was so stealthy. I thought you were coming in under the radar. Yeah. Don't bother me. God bless you, Andrew Rogers.
And I didn't even mean for it to come across like that. Like, that's just how my brain works.
I've been on the receiving end of that, too, so I know. Like, it ain't personal.
Yeah, totally.
A lot of it is just your demeanor as we welcome in
everybody out there.
Yeah, so come down and grab some breakfast. It is a couple of different variations of pancakes, eggs any style. The bacon is on point. The breakfast potatoes, I'm sure they are sharp.
I'm like so intrigued to
see
if we missed anything down there.
Well, I don't know. I am glad you brought your brother, though. He looks like he's a lot cooler than you.
Well,
You're
he's definitely taller.
Well, you're all like buttoned up and your hair's perfect and he's got a hat on.
Thank you for calling me handsome.
He's got the semantics. He's got the little cookie duster going, the little.
Yeah, he does.
Like he looks like a guy that.
He looks like a guy you'd hang out with.
Yes, somebody that
Outside
wouldn't
of
be
me.
mad if he got a few spots on his like car mats or something. Like I need a little.
This guy cleans his car more than anybody I know.
I need a little levity.
Anybody I know.
Hey,
If he had the salt from all of the roads, he'd be in the car wash every single day.
So
Every day.
I believe if I'm going to pay $20-some a month for unlimited car washes, I'm going to see you 15 times a month.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So were you laughing? So why did you wait to text me about the sensors? Was it on your mind why I pulled out and used?
Well, I thought at first that you just decided against driving home without scraping off your car because you did your windshield,
right?
So you were fine to see. But then I'm like, oh, maybe he got the brush and got some of the stuff off the top or off the front of his car. And
no.
so that's why I just didn't text you. I laughed as I was driving by, but I just didn't text you.
Yeah, so I waited to pull out as I let my car run to warm up yesterday. As Shane was still buried and some other people, and it was good on our old SD to come offer to. She did actually take him home, I think.
Yeah.
I wonder how he got in her pickup truck. Did he use a step ladder?
He used that bench out there.
Yeah, he probably did. He climbed up on the side.
He climbed up on his snowblower.
But I had to get out and scrape my vehicle because I have what's called the IQ sensors on my lights. So if there's anything,
and I have that too.
Yeah,
but mine can turn off.
It drives me bonkers. So anytime it's like snowing or there's ice, this thing just beeps at you incessantly. I'm like, there's no way we're about to drive all 6 blocks home listening to this nonsense.
Do.
It was like
beep,
beep, beep. I was like, nope. We're gonna
go make a beat to it. You didn't go.
It was driving me bonkers. I couldn't even make it. How far was that? 26 feet, maybe.
Maybe. You backed out.
Yeah, and I was like, oh no.
Because you always go in front of Osaka to leave.
Correct.
And I go the other way.
Full disclosure, you know how we couldn't see? Because a lot of stuff wasn't cleared.
Uh-huh.
I drove over the median in front of the Boots place in Hooters. Drove over it. I didn't even know it was a thing. I thought it was an exit, and all of a sudden I heard this thunk, 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 thunk. I was like, oh, glad I wasn't driving fast because it looked like an exit. No, there was a sidewalk thing there.
When snow is on the ground, I never know where I'm driving. Like on my way today, I was probably in between lanes just because I'm following the tire tread.
Hey, if we're being honest, though, full disclosure, I know this is an up moment, and I'm like the dog with the squirrel. Does that not smell delicious?
I don't smell it.
What's wrong with the olfactory nerves?
I don't know.
See, mine are on point.
Yeah. Hey, what'd you eat first?
Be honest. What was the first thing you tried?
Potatoes.
Oh, hashtag fail.
Dang it.
See, you play against you guys in like couples games or something, because if that's what you're on. The guess was, what was the first thing you'd eat off your plate? And he looked at me like, I
had the answer.
Pat Sajak knowing what Vanna White was going to flip.
I forgot to say what is.
He's like, oh, the fruit. Yeah, good job. Good job, Uncle Ruru.
You blew it!
Oh,
hey, we just lost $10.
Heck of a morning, man. We are inviting folks over for
now I'm
breakfast.
told the strawberry was eaten first.
Oh, she gave you a mulligan
because
she didn't want you in your feelings. He's like, oh, well, you did sample the strawberry. Yeah. Weird. Your brother had your back.
He's like, oh, gee, Andrew, we need that $10.
So you can come down, live event, get out of bed. Have a few pancakes, the strips of bacon. You know what I like?
And it's warm in here. Let's not forget it's nice and warm.
So you want full-fledged OCD kicking in? Do you know what I like about their bacon? What do you think it is?
About Hale Varsity Club's bacon?
Yes.
I'm going to say that you like the crispiness of the edges.
It's flat.
Oh,
it's not curled. It's not curled up.
Thought way too deep.
Well, I mean, have you ever had bacon and it's like,
oh yeah,
it looks like a strip of bacon. It's got a little body to it, and it's not the thin patty cake stuff.
Patty cake.
So I'm all in, man. So come down and see us at Hale Varsity Club. Shane's over there in his little Woodstock birdhouse. You've got family. We've got Cactus Jack. We've got Sasha over there smiling for some unknown reason.
She's like, it's Friday. Thank God.
I asked her. So she parked in the exact same place that she came in yesterday to pick Shane up, which I thought, Is she OCD too? Because she is very particular.
Yeah, I would say
But
she
then I
is.
thought I gave her the benefit of the doubt. I figured she just parked where she could see the lines.
I actually parked there so we didn't have to get out into snow. I thought that's why you parked there. Because I go, oh, that's a great idea.
Well,
and then I straightened out 3 times because I knew
I had to
that
go.
if you could see my car, you'd call me out for
Yeah,
it.
I picked Shane up this morning. So full disclosure, I did not want him drowning in a drift of snow. So I parked where it was cleared.
He steps out of the car and you park next to the big snow pile where they push all the snow aside.
So then my dumb butt, because he left his vehicle here yesterday and I could see where it was kind of cleared, but not really. I was going to jump and it's ice. So, of course, I lost my balance, but regained.
You did say the black ice out there is going to be a problem. And for everybody else that's walking around today, fair warning.
Shane, it's like our guy from Hill Street Blues. Let's be careful out there.
Let's do it.
Hey,
good on the street removal, the snowplow. My neighbor cleared my driveway yesterday, and he's got to be he's DB and a half. He's got to be 75.
Snow blower or snow
yeah,
shovel?
he snow blowed my driveway.
What a guy.
It was 2:30, and so do I close the blinds because I feel guilty? Do I go out and say thank you mid snow throw?
So do you take him?
Give him $20?
Do you take him barbecue during the summer sometime or something?
Shady just did it. Who's thinking that far in advance? It's me. I don't even know what I'm doing this afternoon. My man's already fast forwarding to when it warms up, which will be Sunday, by the way. So what's the proper protocol when you're consumed by guilt? Because I know that I should have had my little behind out there already, and somebody that is significantly more advanced than me.
Older.
Why advanced? Is throwing.
You can say advanced to make yourself feel better, but he's significantly older than you.
So what's the proper protocol? Do you go out and say thank you? You're doing a good job.
Let's say his name's Jim.
Yeah. He strikes me as a Jim.
Jim, you don't have to do that, man. Really, it's okay. It's okay, Jim.
Is that what you would have done? Mm-hmm. Okay, well, here's the classic question. WWBD. What would Barry do?
Sit on the couch with the fire and turn on the game. He's like, I'm not going down the cold.
Yeah, so I was very, and here's the full thing. I have players that come do that.
I'm all in for the pretend game though. I like that card, the play. I'll act like I just wasn't.
I didn't know what to do
in front of my house.
I didn't. Oh, the closet fan that's not really a fan. If anybody was harder on me, he'd be an enemy. My man, Jay Rich. Isn't he something?
He's here for pancakes.
Hey, did you notice the nice, pretty vehicle he drove in? And
oh yeah,
that's how you drop all that scratch for hockey.
Was that a GMC? Was that a Yukon? He's like, yeah, yeah, it is.
So come down, say hello. Amazing Daniel's bringing his wife. Should I? Is that impressive? Would this morning be a good time to ask him if he drove his motorcycle? Yeah. Remember, he looked at me the other day like I was. Well, and this may be true. I was not very smart. He's just like, yeah, there's these things on there called headlights. You can drive it when there's not sunlight. I was like, wow, can you just say yes? Can you just say yes? You drove your motorcycle, as opposed to feeling like I called you a bad name asking if you drove your motorcycle in the dark. I mean, that's a valid point, isn't it?
No.
Wow. Both you guys at the same time. That's cool. So
that's cool. Let's move on.
Yeah. So my buddy that fixed my vehicle, because he's my buddy now at Dingman's, because he basically talked to me for an hour.
What's his name? Yep, he's your buddy.
I want to say Travis, but it may not.
Travis Scott.
Because he talked to me the whole time my vehicle was being worked on the other day, and he's a 2-wheel guy, and he was talking to me about car buying and whether you need a third row seat. He was super interesting, real pragmatic. And he used to be a motorcycle guy. And then he said he had some bad experiences on the interstate, so he went ahead and is getting ready to sell. But he does like working on motorcycles.
So
I'm afraid of 2 wheels and a motor.
Well,
I'm not getting on one.
I don't like it either. Just personal experience from family and other stories. I think
Are you like Ben Stiller? Along Came Polly. Are you calculating risk analysis?
I feel like I'm more like Alan from The Hangover with math going through my head at the poker table.
Oh,
the blackjack table.
I could totally see you doing that, calculating percentages.
So,
well, soft 7. There's 4 players on the table. There's 3 face cards showing. We're playing 2 decks. There's probably 12 face cards left.
I'll stay.
Calculating your 17% chances, and then meanwhile the rest of the table's looking at you like, play already.
I'm like, you want to make a move? You know, do you ever feel like the dealer rushes you in a casino?
I'm not a blackjack guy.
But you've played before.
Yes.
Like, do you ever feel
and
like
usually the dealers are extremely friendly because the table gets mad as though it's the dealer's fault.
Oh, it is.
Oh,
when you lose, thank goodness you gave me a 6 and you got 2 queens.
Thank you for hitting on soft 17, turning 21. Yeah, good job. When's the next dealer shift?
Hey, guys, on the table, it says dealer must hit soft 17.
Man. Oh, great. Another 5-card 21. This thing is rigged. What is this, the NFL? You want a script? I kid because I care.
Can I get the script for the casino? Like, is that cool?
No, you know what we probably should do before we go to break?
Set up the show?
It's the script for the show.
No, we don't get to the show script until halfway through the show.
We were trending. We had gone all week without setting the lineup in the first segment.
We sure did.
Do you think I've tweeted out the lineup?
No.
Not a chance. And here's the funny thing.
And I'm going to say you won't tweet it out until like 7:45.
Well, here's the funny thing. I was here at 6:10. So there's no reason.
Yeah, no excuse.
For me to not have done that.
Well, you showed me the Marshawn Lynch video.
Which I'm still laughing about. And Sasha was in here and Shane was in here. And I couldn't believe that they sold him a kid's shovel and charged him full price. And he put it in my vehicle. It's a lot of things going on this morning. And I couldn't dial in.
Hey, Shane, is that shovel made of styrofoam?
It is plastic, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a plastic one.
It's not like spongy or anything, so that if DB's daughter Zoe wanted to use it on the driveway, she could.
It is about Zoe's size. God, these breakfast. So if nothing else, if you don't want to come listen to us, which is totally fine, I wouldn't listen to me either. Maybe Hannah Rue. The portions are monster.
They are. Ashley will not eat all that food. Sasha, you could probably. Did you work out today?
She'll pick over it.
Not yet. See, if she worked out, I bet she would have smashed that entire plate.
I think Cactus Jack's going to eat too.
Jack can eat 4 plates.
Look, he's nodding. He's nodding like for sure.
Huh? What?
What? Look, what?
Let's set up the show. So, state wrestling was yesterday.
That's that subtle power move. Yes.
And what's great about state wrestling is just the amount of people that fill up CHI.
It was like it was 65 and sunny out yesterday, right?
It was like Creighton was playing against UConn.
Yeah. People, they go back and forth over this every year about the best state-ran event. Some say state basketball. You know, some say state football. Everybody plays in Memorial Stadium. I just don't know if wrestling has a peer.
Yeah, not up here.
I don't love this. I don't love the split since the pandemic of the classes. I kind of like the all class thing, but the numbers would be through.
But they fly through it. What I noticed, and we talked to Ron earlier this week, and as I'm there, when I worked in sports news up in Sioux City, we'd go to Iowa, and that state-run event would always last until about the time I needed to send back my package. Like, it would always go past 10. And the first round and quarterfinals that took place on Thursday, what they said was, hey, we're going up till 9. Like, that's what the schedule planned for. Mm-hmm. Guess when they were done?
9.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were on it. It was like, hey, this match is over, next one up. This one's over, next one up. They were done at 9. I was like, to work at Nebraska and be a sports reporter again and cover that event, I'd be so stress-free.
Yeah, that's how the Nick Rubeck's, who does a fantastic job for the World Herald, even the Mike Sauters, who unfortunately you had to spend the bulk of the day with yesterday, guys like that are kind of dabbling. Although Nick doesn't dabble, it's what he does. It's his time to shine. You can see why it works, right? It's just a well-run event.
Mm-hmm.
That's why Higdon is who he is. Hey, before we take a break, do you notice anything different about me today?
You're wearing Nebraska gear.
No way you just got that right.
Sure did. I noticed the first thing I walked
See, I'm leaving you. No, I am. I have commitment issues.
Even when I'm not paying attention, I'm paying attention.
I haven't even known you a year yet. Why would you pick up on that?
Because at one time when we first started, because we were talking, you were getting gear from Adrian. And Adrian.
And I said, stop.
Sorry. You said, dude, I don't even own Nebraska gear. Like, I don't even wear my own team. And then we started talking about like where Caleb goes to school. And you said, no matter where he chooses, because you're leaving it up to him, you're like, I won't wear those teams' colors.
Yeah.
Because I went to Nebraska. But then in my head, I'm like, well, that's ironic because you just don't wear Nebraska gear. So, yeah, I just recognized the fact that you were wearing the N.
Yeah, I woke up this morning.
Not to say that it's weird because you obviously went there, and I think you have every right to wear that.
This is the first time maybe when I'm not on a broadcast in my adult life that I made a conscious effort to wear my alma mater. Isn't that weird? But
it looks good. But it looks comfortable, too.
Relax. But not near. But not near.
It looks bad. You're ugly. What do you want me to say?
Not near as odd as you knowing that. So. Therefore, we can't talk anymore.
Hey, we will talk. We'll talk state wrestling more with Mike Sautter when we have him on at 9 o'clock. We'll talk to Mike Schaefer next, and then Kyle Jurgens, head boys basketball coach at Omaha Skutt. That will close out the 7 o'clock hour. We will get into something with Nebraska football that really sparked my interest when I saw Carter Nelson grab an offer from Alabama. We will go into that right about 8. We will play dog eat dog with DB.
Let's get it.
Little family friendly action here.
So I'm 2 in my last 4, so I feel a little pressure because I was kind of on a nice little streak.
He traveled from St. Louis just to play trivia against
and he's
you.
Feeling pretty good about himself.
Hey, at 9:45 too, we'll also talk to Matt Vrzal, former Husker hangover, Pisons, the whole thing. We'll also get to our poll question here in a bit, but Mike Schaefer's up next.
Coffee and Cream with Rogers and Benning on Hail Varsity Radio.
Hey, welcome back to the show, 888-638-4876 if you'd like to get involved. 590 ESPN Omaha. KFOR from 9 to 10 in Lincoln. We're live on Twitter. We're live on YouTube, and we are happy just to have you with us. If you want to make your way down to Hail Varsity Club, too, there's plenty of time. We've got pancakes, and Jack over there is munching on them. So they are obviously pretty dang tasty. And we have Chef Nick, so why wouldn't they be tasty?
I don't understand what's going on at your family's table. Why is the bacon the only thing left?
Don't ask me.
You're totally doing it wrong.
I would have smashed the pancakes, and then I would have gone to the bacon.
Yeah.
Mike's here, by the way.
Thank you, Shaner. I saw him pop through. Well, good transition.
Shane's over here producing.
Well, what happened yesterday? I don't know.
He fell asleep at the wheel.
I don't know. Mike Schaefer, Nebraska football and recruiting for 24/7 Sports. Mike, good morning, man.
Good morning, gentlemen. I see we're we trash talking Shane a little bit.
Just a little.
What else is new?
Yeah, not much. I mean, I've only been involved with some sort of show with Shane for a little more than a decade now, so that's about how things normally go.
Hey, Mike, let me ask you this. Thanks. Sorry.
I got to show you something later on, Shane.
Text. Hey, let me ask you this. What Matt Rhule do you think we'll see once spring practices begin? Do you think it's going to be one who likes to be the head honcho, always voicing his opinion, or one who's okay with being a fly on the wall and letting internal competition drive the wagon?
I mean, it's tough to say. I mean, I've never really had the chance to cover him when a season's going on. I mean, right now he's definitely working the media circuit, and he's out there as much as possible and drumming up interest in Nebraska and all of those sorts of things. It'll be when he has actual practice and something to watch over and then film to review. I mean, it will be interesting to see sort of what his comments are like, if he's a little more guarded in how he feels about things. I mean, I think it's fair to assume that, just generally what we know about coaches and kind of in season, out of season. But I mean, I also sort of feel like he's one of those guys that when he believes something, he's not afraid to tell you that either. So I'm gonna find a natural spot right here in the middle of those two options and not provide you a strong take one way or the other.
Thanks.
Hey, so Mike J, if you were you're in the lab and you're trying to build a player that you think is going to gravitate to this coaching staff's personality, what couple of ingredients are you putting in the mixture first? Because I kind of get the sense there's a couple of things that they're looking for outside of just the easy, okay, is he fast?
Yeah, I mean, I think you gotta love competition, and I don't mean just like for your position. I mean, if they bring a basketball out and they put up a Fisher Price hoop, and they basically pick two guys to go play, that these guys are going to go to war to win this meaningless basketball game in the middle of a practice. Like, I know that's a made up example, but I think that's what the staff is. I mean, I think that they're pretty high energy, and I think from what I can tell with Matt Rhule, he feels like he had to earn everything he's ever received.
Yeah.
He's going to want that out of his team. And I think you see the players that he gets the most out of are guys like that, are guys that either carry a chip with them or, frankly, it doesn't matter. Like, nothing's just for fun. Everything has a reason, you know? So I think that has to just be burning inside of you if you're going to get the most out of the Matt Rhule experience as a player. And then, I mean, you can easily go to base athleticism and all of that sort of stuff. But I think that has to be there internally. And then I also think you have to love football. I mean, I think they're going to weed out guys who are only in it, it's just because their friends play it or it's what they've always done or things like that. If you don't love football, if you're not committed to the game of football, if you don't wake up and your first three thoughts aren't about football, chances are the staff probably isn't going to be for you either. So I think internally it's going to be those two factors, right? Like, you love the game and you love to compete. If those are you, you're going to speak the language of the staff pretty quickly.
Hey, speaking of the wean, Nebraska still sits right around 100 scholarship players, even after the Wednesday departures. As natural attrition occurs, do you think the 85-man limit will work itself out? And at what point do you think Nebraska gets there?
I mean, I think they have to be there by basically the time your freshmen start arriving in the summer.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so I think they're probably there once we get into that middle of May, late May kind of period. I think you're going to see some more names kind of probably come out before spring even starts, that these guys have either moved on from the program or moved on from football entirely. I wouldn't be surprised if there's some people where, they're not going into the transfer portal because they're just going to finish out their careers as a student at Nebraska, and they stay on scholarship that way. There's a way that you essentially can. It's not even a medical red shirt. You just leave football and you keep everything that is your scholarship perk still, remains to you, even if you have 3 years left. We saw that under Scott Frost when he first got here. We'll see that under Mike Riley. We'll see that under Matt Rhule. Wow. We'll see that under Matt Rhule as well.
Hey, Schaefer, let me ask you. So, and I asked this yesterday in general, and I think it's important for Nebraska media because I think there's a lot of times we help set the narratives. What do you think Nebraska fans are willing to do without that traditionally they've kind of clung to in order to see this process, succeed? Is it the cutting of guys? Is it the non-walk-ons? Is it embracing some sort of bad guy role? Is it throwing the ball, 40 times a game? What do you think Nebraska fans are willing to say, you know what? That was fun once upon a time, but I want to win?
I mean, I definitely think you can start with the fact that you probably don't have to take 20 plus walk-ons every year. I mean, so I think if that number gets condensed, and I always struggle when I talk about these things because I probably come off a little colder than I intend to. But in reality, there's probably most years 10 walk-on guys that you really that you need, that not that you need to take, but taking more than that, at what point do you start to lose the quality of what you're bringing in? And then, as we saw under the last staff, when you have that many players, a lot of guys just still end up standing around too. And I think you want to avoid that at practice. And so I think people will understand, and we've already seen that kind of come out. They're going to have a smaller roster in that regard. And it doesn't necessarily mean less Nebraskans are getting opportunities. It's just that they need to keep it kind of tight to the guys that are actually going to really kind of bring something and get use out of them in practice as well. So I think that one starts there. I think fans are generally going to accept and be fine if the ball has to be passed to win games, but it comes down to winning. I mean, if you're not going to win and you're still throwing the football, then people are going to be mad about it. But if you're winning at least and throwing the football for now, I think people can accept that. So I don't know that there's anything schematically. I think it's all sort of the tradition stuff, which honestly, the way that Matt Rhule is wired, he kind of works towards him anyways. So I don't see, stuff like that being thrown out necessarily. So, as long as there's still a tunnel walk and a horseshoe that gets tapped on the way out in a football game on Saturdays, I think most people will be willing to put up with a lot if Nebraska starts to win football games again.
Mike, last thing here. We've been talking about the quarterback situation lately this week, and something Coach Satterfield really wants in a starter is someone who can handle constructive criticism. Who on the roster right now do you think resonates most with that quality?
Oh, that's interesting because I don't know the personality of all of these guys, but I guess of the ones that I've sort of interacted with the most, and that would largely be kind of Casey, Chubba, and Logan. I might go to Logan Smothers right away just because he seems like he's kind of the ultimate teammate. Like that's a guy that, has stood up and said before he has no intention of transferring. He wants to finish out his career with Nebraska. He's accepted being in a backup role. He's accepted being in a super backup role. So I would imagine that's a guy that's accepting of constructive criticism. I think all of those guys are to a degree. But I think Logan Smothers sort of stands out because he was willing, to be a good teammate and willing to wait for an opportunity and didn't just leave when he was moved to the number 3 spot, pretty early on last year. So I guess that's kind of where it comes to mind to me, but it's really hard without really knowing these guys' personalities.
Mike J, let me get you out of here on this. Is a quick baseball deal. When you at baseball versus basketball, when you look at Nebraska as they get ready to start against San Diego this weekend, and you're looking at expectations when basketball season started, who do you think will end up being closer to meeting those preseason expectations?
Well, I think basketball is already like right on the doorstep of it. So they have an advantage in that they've already kind of had their season go at least better than I think some would have projected. So I think it's hard because baseball, I think, has more to do. I think people expected an NCAA appearance. And they've got to do it with guys that haven't been there yet. And so I think that basketball is more likely to meet the expectations because I think they're right there. Whereas baseball has a hurdle to clear that a lot of those guys just haven't done, because you don't have, even though we're only 2 years removed from it, you really don't have a lot of those veterans and guys that were on the roster that took you down to Fayetteville and put you within one game of going to the last round before the College World Series. So I think that baseball has probably a little bit more to show right now because basketball has kind of spent December, January, and February proving that there's a little bit more there, but they also had a little bit lower of a bar to clear. Whereas baseball, just getting to the Big Ten tournament isn't going to be enough. You got to get to the NCAA tournament. That's what the expectation is.
Mike, appreciate your time this morning. Thanks so much. We will talk again next week.
Thanks,
All
Mike.
right, guys. Have a good one.
That's Mike Schaefer. Coming up next, our high school coaches corner here on Coffee and Cream.
Coffee and Cream with Rogers and Benning on Hail Varsity Radio.
Hey, let's just go back to what I said at the start of the show. DB asked me, he goes, when am I going to tweet the lineup out? And I said, oh, you'll tweet it out about 7:45.
Yeah, and that's gonna be spot on.
He just looked at me and goes, hey, what GIF should I use? And I go, well, let's check the time.
It's kind of my thing. I like trying to figure out how to be creative. What is Mary Kate and Ashley doing over there?
She's the event coordinator.
Oh, so she coordinating?
Mm-hmm.
Got to
It's a whole family affair. Sooner or later, we'll take things over, right? And that's how that works.
Yeah. Slowly but surely.
Bill thinks he's playing chess. Just look at me.
hey.
I'm only kidding. Maybe. No, we'll talk to Kyle Jurgens hopefully in a few moments. We left him a message. Omaha Skutt having their game rescheduled from Thursday to Saturday. What's crazy is we're almost to districts. Like, isn't that nuts how we're like here already?
Yeah.
I mean, because you guys just finished football season.
Yeah.
How long ago?
Basically.
Like a month and a half ago?
Yeah.
Something like that?
I think we played on November 23rd.
Right. It just feels like in the blink of an eye, it's already state basketball.
Yeah. It happens quick, which is what we try to tell guys and gals when you're out there competing. You better figure out how to maximize in the moment because it's going to go in a hurry.
You know, I'm going to ask you this. I wanted to ask Jurgens this, but since you're a coach, I can ask you this too because this is something I thought about this morning because when I was trying to craft up some questions for Coach, I want to do things differently every time. Like I don't want it to be, I'm regurgitating what I said to
Coach Loki or
whoever else last week. And I thought, man, when I was a senior in high school at this point in the season, what was I thinking about? And so I want to ask you this. Thinking about the seniors here, how have you taught your players to enjoy every moment in their senior year? Because at any point after, say, this weekend in particular, say put in football terms, after this, say you're not going to state, say you are. It could be their last high school game at any point. Like, how do you teach them to just enjoy the day?
Show them my tax returns.
Okay.
No. I think honestly, though, I mean, that's a fantastic question. And, I always tell people, a lot of the reasons or I think coaches do what they do is not just to groom young men and women, to groom young people to be better. It's so they can invest and pour into folks to make them better than they were. And so if that's kind of the message that you're talking to your student athletes about, it's always about embracing the moment, right? Like tomorrow's going to come soon enough. Hammer out today. Don't be the person that checks your rearview mirror and you're wondering what happened or where it went. I always tell people pain is temporary, regret is forever. And that's you can either choose humility or you can be humbled, but you guys have to understand that you can manage pain. You can. You can have some surgeries, you can take some medications, you can get a script. Regret is the thing that will tap you on the shoulder at night and keep you up. And you try to really you want people to be able to understand and get their mind around that so you can maximize in the moment. Don't worry about what tomorrow is going to bring. Just be perfect in that second because there's joy in that.
Mm-hmm.
And the more messages and the more teachings that you can have for kids to stay in the moment. You saw it with wrestling.
And I was going to follow that up with that.
It's like you may know who's coming up in the semis if you win the quarters or around
you have
earlier.
To win the quarters.
But you got to get there first. And wrestling's a perfect example because the minute you think about something else or you breathe wrong, as you saw a couple of different times yesterday, you get out of the moment and before you know it, it's over.
Well, and I texted you, and we'll take Westside for example, just because that's where your focus was on. Like whenever
when it wasn't boys, it was Westside girls.
Whenever a Westside girl was on the mat, you turn that match on.
Yeah.
When you watched Rossiter go in her quarterfinal round. There was a point in that match where we're like, 'cause she's one of the best in the state, if not the best in the state.
Wrestling on one leg, the bad calf. Yeah.
So you see her step out there. And like I said, at one point, I believe it was either 4-1 or 4-2. And you're thinking like, geez, sometimes you take it easy on yourself, right? You lost like a little bit of wind. And wow, it's
staying in.
It's crazy that you got to stay in the moment and not think too far ahead.
That's coaching.
Let's move over to Kyle Jurgens. He's with us now, head boys basketball coach at Omaha Skutt. Hey, Coach, good morning.
Morning, guys. How you doing?
Hey, good. Glad we got you, Coach. How are you?
Doing well. My daughter answered the phone this morning, so we're off to a good start. We're kind of scramble mode a little bit.
Isn't it crazy how I always tell this to people that don't actually get it? It's like when you coach, you have those sets of kids, groups of kids, but there's this family component too that you have to navigate, and sometimes they don't always overlap, but you always have to explain one to the other because both those worlds have to mesh.
Oh, yeah. We had our game moved, so we weren't supposed to have practice this morning, so she's around now.
That seemed like an oh darn.
She's around.
Hey,
that's classic.
Yeah.
Hey, Coach, I asked DB this question, and I want to ask you at first to kick this thing off. Thinking about the seniors here, how have you taught them to enjoy every moment this year? Because at any point after this weekend, it could be their last high school game.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's just kind of reminding them throughout the process that, that you got to take every day at a time. And I think they've kind of looked at the guys that came before them, the seniors, and know that anytime it can be over and it goes really fast. And this is a great group, and they've done that really well. And I think they're seeing it now that, even some of them the other day were like, man, we only have 2 weeks of the regular season left. And so I think they have an understanding of it, and they're a mature group. And it's one of those deals where you're counting the days a little bit. I mean, it's a fun time of year. I said this the other day, was postseason and stuff like that, but then you're also kind of thinking in the back of your head that your days with them are limited, and that's a tough part too, because when that day comes, it can be tough.
Coach, if you're focusing on one game at a time, how it goes as a coach. There's those basic fundamentals that you have to go by, or all of a sudden you wake up and you weren't the team that you were supposed to be. But you guys have been the hunted forever now, and you're kind of your own benchmark. What unique challenges has that presented to you over time, knowing that you do have to maximize in the moment or you will get ran down from behind?
Yeah, it's a different challenge that I guess not everybody has, but we do try to remind them often that people are going to be excited and that they're going to get a lot of people's best shot, and that just sometimes just watching college scores and other games and just saying you look at scores and go, wow, how did that happen? And it's like, well, when you play enough games, if you don't show up some night, it's basketball and you're going to get beat. And so we give them a lot of reminders in that aspect. I think we have a pretty competitive environment in our practice that helps us. And then honestly, we watch a lot of film of ourselves. So, we do watch other people, but I try to, before we even watch the next opponent, kind of give us a little bit of evaluation on us. And that even though the last game, the score was this, there are still several things that we can be doing better. And so I think that has helped a little bit too along the way.
Coach, top team in Class B, a runner-up finish last year, which I can only assume has been motivation to cap this season off differently. What would you say is the biggest difference from last year's squad to this one?
I mean, last year's squad, we kind of knew who was who. We kind of had a pretty, set rotation, and just a matter of, kind of continue to get better and be playing well at the right time. And I mean, that's not a huge difference in this year, but we did have some younger kids who needed some experience, and we're still trying to kind of find what our rotation looks like, because we have quite a few guys who can help us on any night. And so, as anybody will tell you, that could be a challenge sometimes as a coach to make sure that, you're getting everybody minutes and competitive playing time. And I think since, the week we played Pius and Central and stuff like that, we've kind of, started to trust each other more and playing probably our best team basketball and getting the most contributions out of a lot of guys at this time of the year. And so that's good to see. We hope we can continue that.
Coach, obviously you want to have a healthy Jake Brack, and it's been a little different after the Central game. And I know you don't like to talk about individual players, but how key is your team's health in its totality to make the run that you want to make?
Well, it's key. I mean, he's a big part of it, and losing him in that game, it's one thing to lose a guy like that and then have practices and time to go, okay, but to lose him in the moment and then have to play without him, we had to kind of figure out who we were on the fly, and luckily it was just a little deal that didn't keep him out. But yeah, he's important to us. He's done a really good job guarding really good players, and that's helped us too. And then he's obviously big for us offensively. We run a lot of stuff through him, and guys get open looks. Guys get some opportunities because he's in the game, and yeah, we're hoping that everybody can stay healthy down the stretch, because we need them all.
Coach, we appreciate your time this morning. Thanks so much, and good luck tomorrow.
Thanks, Coach.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Hey, coming up next, we are talking Nebraska football and how there are probably more FBS offers coming out of the state more than ever as of late. We'll do that next here on Coffee and Cream.
Husker Travis on wait, I always get it wrong. I always call him by his first name, but it's not really. It's Travis, Husker fan.
We're talking to a lot of Travises today.
Yeah, a lot of Travises. Says I'd like to hear Saban's thoughts on traveling to Ainsworth, Nebraska to visit a recruit.
Was Saban the one that went?
But I know one thing, because so here's the thing, though. There are some places in that part of the country in the South that have some Ainsworth-esque qualities to them, right? Because it's like, I was just talking to my buddy. I was telling you about Tom Thompson, former hooper over at Westside. His brother and his sister-in-law live off the grid. They were in Ralph, Tennessee, and now have moved just west to a different location.
Ralph, Tennessee.
Yes.
Like that should be a T-shirt.
Yeah, so I can't imagine Ralph would be much different.
So Ainsworth, at least as far as why is it the 2010 census is what this quick facts, pops up at 1,700 people. Not sure if there's a little bit more now. Somebody can let me know in the comments, or you can give us a call, 888-638-4876. But you know what every small town has? I think I've told you this before.
What's that?
But what does every small town have? Take a guess. Every small town has this.
A good tight end.
A good tight end, yes, sure.
A good gas station.
I'm thinking like a literal brand, a literal name, and it's food.
Every small town has
a Subway.
Oh,
every small town has a Subway.
Really?
I'm telling you, you go to a small town. Like I was looking at, hey, you know what's in Ainsworth? Because you have Husker Meat, you have Baumgars. Like those Baumgars, of course, big store name. But then I always see Subway in every small town. I feel like it's a must-have. Like if you live in a small town, you have to have a Subway. And you know who works at the Subway? The high school kids in town. Tell me I'm wrong.
I like your style. Subway. So there's a Subway in Ainsworth?
There is.
I've been to a lot of places in Nebraska.
Give me a small town. Any small town. Here in Nebraska, go ahead.
How about Mitchell?
Mitchell?
No. How about Benkelman?
Benkelman.
That's Benk. Yep. Benkelman.
Got it. Benkelman, Nebraska.
Do you think they have a Subway?
I'm telling you.
You're like, scroll.
I hope I'm right.
It's in the Panhandle now. You got a Subway?
Not seeing a Subway.
Google Maps.
I see a Skyline Grill.
Ooh, maybe we should go to Skyline.
Is there a Subway nearby? Well, I'm wrong.
What's your level of surprise?
Seems like it.
Are you guys going?
With the BAM offer?
I was shocked, and here's why. Because it doesn't seem to me that it's very common that an 8-man player gets recognized at, can I say it, the best school, if not one of the best schools in football?
Pretty good at recruiting.
Like, why him? What led to that? And then I went down this rabbit hole of, like, how do you discover a player? So then I went to Huddle and recruiting profiles and things like that. And I'm like, still though, like, how are you looking at a guy in 8-man football, which is a completely different game than 11-man? Doesn't mean it's any less competitive.
You see the game, right? It's who's offered.
Correct. And, I went down this rabbit hole, and then I came across an article that was written, I think it was on the Omaha World Herald, about how Nebraska produces more FBS players than ever to this point from like 2010 to now. And I'm like, it's crazy how just in the span of 10 years, what adding certain coaches at the collegiate level to cover certain areas, because, there's somebody in Bama that's like, hey, you got the upper Midwest. And like they're focusing on that while somebody else is focusing on a different region. And then you also have those recruiting profiles to where anybody can go and look and see. You also have 7-on-7 football, which is played all year round. And that's great for.
And I don't even think Carter plays.
I don't know. I asked you off air.
I don't think so.
And whether he does or does not, it just goes back to what I was saying about recruiting profiles and game footage. Like, that's how you find a Carter Nelson. 98% of schools, Damon, are on Huddle in some way, shape, or form. That is why we've seen these numbers grow, and that's also why I think it's easy to discover a guy like Carter Nelson. Put yourself in 2005, you're not discovering Carter Nelson at Alabama. You're just not.
And you're exactly right. And I think that was about when it started to pick up, right? Because that was the Marlon Lucky era that I remember, and the whole 5-star. I think 2003 was right around that's kind of birth. I need a recruiting expert to confirm or deny, but it's going to be interesting too, because I think players, I always tell players this high school wise when folks get offers, because I see lots of things from people that get offered, and some I'm like, about time, or some I'm like, really? And I always tell families and players when they're being recruited, could I say yes tomorrow? You've offered me. Could I say yes tomorrow? Is this contingent upon me coming to campus? Do I need to perform? Like, because I get the offer thing, and for some it's committable on the spot, but up until the last, I don't know, probably 5 or 6 years, had you ever heard the term committable offer? Because that's what I always wonder, right? Because now I know so many people that recruit that are in the college game over the last 10 years, and they kind of roll their eyes, over when they're competing with another school, and they're like, why would they offer such and such? We offered such and such. And I know if he tells them that he wants to commit tomorrow, they're not going to, so you never know, like what schools are looking at. But you've got me super curious now when you say what leads somebody to Ainsworth, other than I think initially, I think you have to go by the initial offer list. Right, because I think there's just some schools. I think he's got a Michigan offer. I mean, he's got the best offers in around the state by far. So it's like but they just don't strike me as the type of school that would just go willy-nilly either. So, I mean, it's good for the state of Nebraska, and the more college coaches, I think for the kids, the merrier. If you're a fan of the University of Nebraska, maybe not so much.
Now, I'm in my head, I'm fact checking myself. It may have been the Lincoln Journal-Star where this came from. It's one of the two. But, from 2010 to 2019, DB.
Just ask around, Manly Enterprises. They're one and the same.
Nebraska produced 10 or more FBS scholarship players just once from 2010 to 2019. That was in 2017. Since 2020, it's happened 4 years in a row where they've had 10 or more. 14 FBS signings in 2021 and 13 in each of the last 2 seasons. Plus, all 13 of the state's FBS signees went to Power 5 schools in the 2023 class.
You might have a chance to beat that this year, though.
But think about where we're trending. That's what's crazy when you see stuff like I talked about with Carter Nelson getting an offer from Alabama. And like I said, it's great to see because more kids are being discovered and you're not just settling on a program, right? And this doesn't even include FCS offers. I mean, I saw yesterday, 2 days ago, Rizak had a South Dakota State offer.
Wait, he got 4 in 3 days.
Right.
Which it's long overdue.
And the reason I say South Dakota State is because, they just won.
Yeah, defending national champ.
And then
South
you have
Dakota
Kay
State.
Johnson and Easton Stick that also went to FCS schools that probably could have gone to FBS schools if they wanted to.
You're absolutely 100%.
So just
factual.
What's crazy nowadays is this. Here's how you get somewhere. You start with your recruiting profile and game footage. You play 7-on-7 if you can for those skill position players, because that's what 7-on-7 is really meant for, is the quarterbacks, the wide receivers, your running backs, your tight ends, your defensive backs. It's meant for your skill guys. And then you go to a place like the Warren Academy here in town if you're looking for work in the trenches to help get noticed.
Yeah, it's become, I don't know. And this is different than Carter Nelson. So I'm saying, generally speaking, the recruiting game, I think for some, a lot, has become one in which to play. There is this thing called the recruiting game. Hey, who am I close to in the recruiting sites? Hey, who can help, build a profile? Hey, who can help reach out and say, hey, you need to take a look at this guy? All that kind of stuff, I think ultimately matters. And student athletes and parents, I think, are definitely learning to play the game.
As we look at some other factors too that kind of fall into this, hey, people are getting offers. How about on the other side of things? When you look at the walk-ons, I mean, we haven't really gotten into this just yet, but we've been hearing all week long that Nebraska is going to shave their walk-on numbers. And, what does that really mean? I mean, even in shape, we talked to Mike Schaefer at 7:30, and you kind of asked him, what are you willing to compromise?
Yeah, you talking about the fan base,
right? Yeah. For the sake of winning, and it's like, hey, let's not attach to what we once were. Let's progress to get to where we want to be, and that's the way Matt Rhule's head works. We all know that, but the walk-on program, it won't look the same. The numbers will continue to lower. You can cash in on walk-ons, no doubt. It's been done before, and that's why they've had such an influx of numbers over the years. But look at the late ones, right? I mean, you had how many walk-ons came? What do you think the top number of walk-ons Scott Frost gathered for a program? Was it 40? Was it 45? Is that too high?
That seems high.
Regardless, we'll say 40, for example. Well, I'll even say 30. Play it safe. Who are the main ones that they've cashed in on? Luke Reimer?
Luke Reimer for sure.
Yeah. Colton Feast, right? But if you're only getting 2 out of 30, what's your percentile here now? Right? I mean, if you bring a bigger sample size, you can cash in on so-called more walk-ons. But if you lowered that sample size, would you have found Reimer? Would you have found Feast?
I think you got to find a way. Whatever it looks like, whether it's walk on, not walk on, whatever. I think you got to find a way up your percentages to get it right. Like I want to give myself more opportunities for. I want more margin for error, but I can't do that at a cost
And not
where
just take walk-ons to take
yeah,
walk-ons.
because you're wasting guys' time. Like I had a couple of conversations. Some were internally in my head. Some were a little bit over social media. I take a look at. We were talking about North Platte yesterday, and Tilford, who ends up going to SDSU, had the opportunity to walk on at Nebraska. Like, when he asked me about the opportunities, I felt like it was a really difficult decision because I think he's good enough, and he plays the game in such a way where, man, I could see you being a Power 5 guy. I could, right? I mean, people will sell you short on your size and this, that, and the other, but the way you play and whatever, right? But how do I feel reconciling that in my head with, okay, you have a chance to go to school for free and play for a national championship at SDSU?
It sounds pretty good to me.
Right. And it's not like they're not putting guys in the pros. They're going to put another tight end in the NFL this year. So it's like, what is it that you really want to do when you're coming out of high school? Is it the opportunity to play on the biggest stage? You want to compete against the best? You want to be able to play right away? Do you want to, you want to be functional?
Right.
Where's academics fall in the line if that's part of the deal?
Take a step down too, DB. What if we go to NAIA? I mean, an hour and a half away is Morningside.
Yeah,
another 2 hours away is Northwestern, the defending national champions. I mean, we're looking at two schools right there that if you wanted to play right away, if you're good enough to be a walk-on in D1, you're good enough to be a starter down at an NAIA program.
For the most part.
And then if you go one step further too, if you want to go to JUCO, look who just won a national championship right down the road.
Yeah.
Because, Nebraska is choosing to shave from the walk-on program. It's not because they want to get away from what used to work. It's the fact that, no, they want to, like you said, be right more times than not. And two, kind of combat the growth of college football down the ranks from D2 to FCS to NAIA to JUCO, et cetera.
I just think there's so much to think about too for the student athletes, because it's a lot of times, as man, it's not just gonna boil down to the school name. It's, do I have the opportunity to play and can I chase my dreams? And a lot of times the functional part of that is where it gets a little blurry.
And then add in one more to this mix. The transfer portal.
Yeah.
You don't have room for walk-ons hardly anymore because at any point you can go out and say, hey, mind you, this is coming from a good place. Who's better, the walk-on or the transfer?
Yeah. And so the interesting thing is I don't know. I wish it were always going to be that linear, but I don't know if it is, Drew Down, because I think fit matters more than anything in 2023 in college. Shoot, in athletics,
right?
In
but would you rather find fit in a transfer or would you rather find fit in the walk-on? The transfer has a higher likelihood of playing.
No, maybe being better, but I don't know about fit though, right? Because I think it's easier. That's tough. I think it's easier for somebody that has had college experience to have a like comp, where it's more portable. Okay, I saw him play against such and such, so I can see him play against such and such. But the want to and fit, if somebody's willing to take less money to come be a part of what you're doing, how much does that factor into the quote unquote comp when you're looking at fit for your culture?
And fit's a big thing for Nebraska, as we know. Matt Rhule looks
I think
for
it's a fit
over
for
anything else.
For a lot of schools that want to do it and have some long-term success.
I just think we'd be negligent to think that a walk-on wouldn't get pushed down the roster.
No, I mean I understand the premise. I see it happen a ton more in basketball now than I am in football, because I think football coaches are still reluctant with the ultimate team game to compromise the development piece a lot less than I think basketball coaches are sometimes, that can flip a roster tomorrow. Doesn't always work like that in football. And shoot, remember, that's one of the first questions I asked Bob when we had him on is, Is it just me, or does there seem to be a difference in transfer portal success between basketball and football? And it's not just because basketball has smaller numbers, because you think if there's a contaminant or something that wasn't part of the process that wasn't going to go right, it would reveal itself a lot easier with smaller numbers than it would with big numbers. Football, you can hide a guy if it doesn't pan out, and it's no big deal.
Yeah,
right?
well,
so I just didn't think it was
stands out more in basketball
as easy as saying, well, smaller numbers, easier impact, because it can be to the
no big deal.
It can be to the negative too.
As you take a look at college basketball as well, I would tend to say if you're in the transfer portal and you move, wouldn't you also say that guy is going to be a starter on another team?
Just depends on why they're leaving.
At least what I've seen this year. You leave a program and you go somewhere else, and we're always talking like, oh, this guy transferred from SMU. This guy transferred from Florida. This guy transferred from Clemson. And it's like, they transfer and they're getting a boatload of playing time, and also they are benefiting from that. Take Keontae Johnson, for example. Like, this is a guy that left Florida and is now thriving on the basketball court at K-State. Is it because he got more time? Was it a better fit?
I just think you get coaches sometimes that don't want what comes with older guys wanting to change locations and try to rehab or fix or have that be a fit than they are willing to invest.
What about Jack Nungy going to Xavier?
No, listen. So the isolated examples, I totally understand. But when you're on your second school, and for sometimes these guys, so is Amani Bates' talent? So is it so overflowing that you're going to take him at a max school coming from Memphis versus going to get a high school talent that you can grow and develop?
Do coaches want to take that grow and develop?
So what I'm saying when I ask the question rhetorically is sometimes it's so, if I can look in your suitcase a lot easier, you get a more critical set of eyes. So it's not always a bonus that you're coming over from college to college, because sometimes that tightens the scrutiny too. Because remember, it's a really tight circle. So coaches can pick up the phone and say, hey, what was going on with such and such that he couldn't make it at your program to come over to mine? When in high school, you're more apt to maybe give a benefit of you could be, I'm not saying for sure, you could be more apt to give the benefit of the doubt because there's more room for growth.
Well, if you look at that same example from the other side of things, if you take a transfer and you look through their baggage, because you can see it like a clearer image, like you said, and you take that guy, because you have a better opportunity of that guy then panning out, because you chose to take that guy based on everything that you saw, everything that you knew. You don't have to even touch him if he's in the transfer portal. But when I'm talking about a guy moving from one place to another, obviously you've done your due diligence. You've looked into it and said, hey, this is going to work. So in that side of things, coaches are more prone to taking him than a high school kid nowadays. And we talked about this either yesterday or 2 days ago. COVID kind of helped that.
Well, that was going to be interesting. We'll see what happens, how it recalibrates.
Everybody gets an extra year.
How it recalibrates, because the market's going to reset in 2 years.
Hey, our poll question of the day, too, DB, as we finish up our thoughts on college basketball, is this, and it's pretty simple. Will Nebraska make the NIT? It's a fairly simple question, but it has also a little bit of baggage to it as well.
Yeah.
Wherever your thoughts are, you can vote at Varsity Radio on that question. You know what? I'm gonna knock myself here for a second. I just said we had a poll question, and I know I didn't tweet it out today. I know I didn't tweet that out.
Well, that's what happens when
I don't even recognize what we're doing.
So I'm going to say the poll question, and then at the break, I'm going to post the poll question.
That's something I would do. Hey, welcome to my world. See, it happens. At least I know you're human.
So, do you have any responses? I mean,
funny guy. You.
Sorry, Shane, I can't hear you all the way up here. What was that?
Don't put that crap on me.
Wow. My man jumped into my vehicle this morning. That was hilarious.
Jumped like a hop, skip, and a jump?
No, I crawled up into it.
Oh, you crawled.
I climbed up into
Oh,
it.
you climbed. Were you wearing a harness?
I had the seat warmer on for
A
him,
parachute?
and I said, "Hey, is that is it
Please
too-"
tell me he complained about the seat.
I said, "If it's too warm, man, you can turn that off." He goes,
He likes hot buns.
He's like, "No,
Remember?
I like it.
He likes hot buns.
I like it." He says, I get cold easy." Yeah, man, I know.
Hey,
Short blood supply.
coming up next, there's a lot just happening this weekend. What are you most looking forward to? Right there's a ton from college baseball starting up. Omaha hockey has another big series in Miami. You have Nebraska facing Maryland, Creighton St. John's, Nebraska women against Iowa women. There's a whole bunch to talk about. We'll do that next. Hey, welcome back to the show. It's Coffee and Cream in the Morning on Hail Varsity Radio, powered by Currency. We are live from the H&H Chevrolet stage at Hail Varsity Club. Wearing the Nebraska gear today is Damon Benning. Wearing Coffee and Cream is Andrew Rogers. Wearing a stocking cap inside like he always does is Shane Schillerberg. And we are happy to have you with us for this live show at Hail Varsity Club. Lots going on this weekend. Tons. And it all begins with college baseball. Opening weekend.
I was just going to ask you before we got started.
Go ahead.
Weekend in baseball. Do you see mutual interest with Bieniemy and the Commanders?
I did
The
see
deal,
that. Nice work.
Now they're fast forwarding that the deal could be done as soon as today.
Which still blows my mind.
That's
Why
kind-
leave the Chiefs?
Something.
Why leave the Chiefs for another OC job? Doesn't make sense to me at
Well,
all.
except for the scenario that I was asking you about or telling you about a couple of days ago. Maybe his job with the Chiefs isn't all that we assume it to be when we talk about OC.
I just don't know how
and
you
play
can't be
calling.
happy, right? When you're
unless he's not calling plays, or something.
How much money is that dude making?
Maybe he feels like he's capped. Maybe he feels like,
Well, I wish I had his cap.
I've done as much as I can do.
I'll tell you what, though. As much as I say, why would you leave this? Why would you leave that? This is what I'll get into. I am a big proponent of, if you're feeling comfortable, get uncomfortable. Maybe he felt like he was getting comfortable in that job and he wanted a new spark. He wanted something different. We've seen that when people leave jobs all the time. There are numerous media members that you can just talk to that say, hey, I got out of media because I just lost that fire. I lost that passion.
Yeah.
And I wanted to do something different. Maybe that's Bieniemy when it comes to coaching. Maybe he wanted something different. Maybe this helps, like you said yesterday, progress him to a head coaching job if he proves that he can do that in Washington.
So
if he proves he can make it.
The weird thing about that is if you're Bieniemy, what makes the situation that much more advantageous with the Commanders? I mean, two equally tough divisions. You're leaving a better quarterback.
For what quarterback? Right?
Well, apparently not Heineke if he's cool with being a backup.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
So I don't know. I just think it's interesting.
It is interesting. I'm still more on the side of why would you leave the defending Super Bowl champs in a year that people said you were resetting your lineup. I'm not all in on the whole Travis Kelce. Hey, everybody thought we were going to lose this year. Not to say people didn't say that, but you also had the third best preseason odds to win the Super Bowl to open the year.
Yeah, but I do think. We got into this with Georgia, right? And I defended the Georgia guys too, just like I'm going to defend Kelce. There's enough people when you're an alpha that don't think that you're going to do something to be the catalyst. So if I'm Jalen Carter or whomever else, we can make jokes in the media. I've gone through this. Oh, nobody thought we were going to win. Well, if nobody's 15 people and it's the right 15 people in their sphere of influence that didn't pick them to win the SEC because of all those guys being gone on defense or whatever, see, that's value to them. So if Kelce says, what if he's watching an ESPN show and the panel of four, which is exactly what happened, and it's been tweeted out numerous times where nobody on that set picked the Chiefs to win the AFC West and went as far as one of the guys, the former player, went as far as to call Justin Herbert the best quarterback in the division. What if that's what he's talking about? I'm not going to make it's too
Present
low.
your case better.
It's not too low. Well, like we don't have to know it all either. Like we don't have to listen to that and be like, oh man, and crack jokes.
What do you mean we don't have to listen to it? He said it 4 times.
We don't have, he doesn't,
3 days.
He doesn't have to present his case better. It's what he feels. Who gives a crap what we think? Like Kelsey has to.
Who gives a crap what we think? Kelsey
has to explain.
Kelsey obviously gives a crap of what we think.
No, he's not saying it because he gives a crap. He's saying it because he wants those people to know that, yeah, we heard it and we didn't like what was said. It doesn't, maybe it's not keeping him up at night. Maybe a guy just says that for the feather in his cap to say, I told you so.
Yeah,
it doesn't, why that is so self-righteous, it's driving me crazy. Why would Kelsey have to defend himself in an interview after winning the Super Bowl to explain while he maybe, and I don't even know if it was that panel, but maybe he was, whatever he saw.
It's not after the Super Bowl, DB.
But time out, though. But time out. Hang on, though. Did you pick the Chiefs to win the AFC West?
I don't even know if I made predictions.
So I heard about Russell Wilson coming to the Broncos. I heard about the Raiders being this hot team.
Chargers.
Everybody liked the Chargers.
Sure.
Like, how much is enough ammo to validate what he said?
I don't think I ever bet against Mahomes.
Okay, that's cool. But do we have to operate in that extreme continuum that nobody – are we hung up on the fact that he said –
I didn't say that people didn't say it because there were plenty of people. There were clips that
he
came out.
But
that
he doesn't owe us an explanation, though.
And you know what? Maybe that was the wrong thing to say in that moment. But to further what you were saying is that you said maybe it's not keeping him up at night, right? You know, he said it once. Say it once. Makes sense. But he said it like 5 times.
But here's the deal, though. When you
obviously it mattered to him.
Because when you get to that level, you'll grab every inch you can to keep you dialed in so you don't
motivation's
so you don't rest.
Motivation's a thing. I'm completely there.
It drives
but it
me
became lighter
crazy.
Fluid, man. It became lighter.
I get it because we don't have anything else better to do, so we harped on it. But if it's good for them, I'm cool. Like I don't know, man. I can't explain that enough. And I gave the example with Jalen Carter. If he's listening to Feinbaum, and maybe it says more about Jalen Carter than anything, or whomever else, and people don't think Georgia is going to win a national championship, that's all they need to hear. If 4 people on a panel, which and I keep saying that because the show actually happened. There's a Chiefs Twitter account that went through the litany.
Yeah, I saw
of negative comments about the Chiefs. That's good enough for me. If I'm a competitor, if I want to use that as fodder or reference it after I win, he doesn't have to. He's not going to get into, hey, you know what, though? There's 30% of the people out there that did think you guys were going to win, or there's 35% of the people out there that did think you were going to win. If it's 60% that didn't, that's plenty. If it's 50% that didn't, that's plenty. If it's 40% that didn't, that's plenty.
And if it's 2%, it's plenty?
I don't know, but you're watching the 4-letter network and you're seeing nobody pick you to win
you look at all the media members everywhere.
Your division, though. Your division. And remember, Vegas sets the line. It's not like the media sits in the back room of 7 and is like, hey.
And it's easy to say those things whenever you have a younger team.
Yeah.
It's easy to make that claim whenever people move around.
I just think it's disingenuous to use Vegas
halfway through the season. Did it
interchangeable.
Did I change my mind halfway through the season?
With the media. The media doesn't set the betting market.
Correct, because Vegas knows all. It's scripted. The back of your head is ridiculous.
I'm gonna hurt my hamstring in week 2. All right, Marshawn Lynch.
Hey, I don't like pigs.
Hey, see, that's what I'm not about to do.
That thing wet.
That thing wet, man.
I'm was 2 Chainz. Me and my partner 2 Chainz.
Oh,
You
man.
can always have a good time with him.
That thing wet.
That thing wet, man. That thing wet.
I'm not on it, Avery. I know you're a Chiefs fan. I'm not on it. I'm not buying what DB's selling over here.
That's okay. That's okay.
I'm buying it.
Are you?
Yeah.
Shay knows I'm convincing. Plus, I gave him a ride, so he's probably partial to me right now. Next time you hook him up, he'll be like, I'm Team Ruru.
He was Team Ruru after I gave him a waffle the other day.
I'll take it.
Oh, Shay, we
I'm
kid
sure
because
you
we
will.
care.
Hey, we didn't even touch on what's happening this weekend.
What is
kind of went
happening?
down a rabbit hole.
It's a lot happening.
Yeah, there's a lot happening. So,
By the way, we missed UNO's win last night, too, in hoops,
right.
which was a good one.
A good comeback win.
Yeah. And Fiddler may have finally got it going.
And that's a team that always finds a way to like sneak some late. Now we just need them to sneak some in a row.
Yeah.
Like we got to compile numbers.
Tough conference, though.
Very tough. Oh, the Summit is nuts. And Oral Roberts is so good. They were my team to come out of the Summit about 3 weeks ago. Now, how hot of a take is that? I mean, how many conference games has Oral Roberts lost? 1?
Hey, so
2?
what
It's
is
not a hot take.
I don't know if you saw
But they
it
are a
off the-
team that I did say would go to like the round of 32 or the Sweet 16 potentially. They have the talent to do it. Go ahead.
I was just going to ask, is the Summit title still run through
Orals?
The Dakotas?
Oh yeah, that's a good. Not this year.
Yeah. Ooh.
Not this year.
That's kind of a hot take, though, because it normally does.
Hey, we're playing Dog Eat Dog next. You know the drill. It's Dog Eat Dog VDB time. And what that means is he's not in his chair. He has to go outside because he can't hear the trivia questions that are about to come his way. It's Coffee and Cream in the Morning on Hale Varsity Radio, powered by Currency. We are live from the H&H Chevrolet stage at Hale Varsity Club for our live show. Everybody out there enjoying pancakes, bacon, potatoes, eggs, any style. It's a fantastic spread. Good on Chef Nick for putting that together. Let's play the game, though. I want to welcome in our guy. I'm going to turn my camera here. Our guy, Joe. There he is. He's a little blurry right now, but it focused up. Nice blues jacket.
Of course.
So, full disclosure, Joe is my brother in town this weekend. And I said, hey, guess what? Since you're coming to the live show, you can play trivia against DB.
And I'm going to beat DB.
I love it. I love the tenacity.
Older brother.
Older brother. Yep.
He looks a little more
Not wiser.
mature.
What?
He looks a little bit more mature.
Huh? What? Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Yeah, it's because of the goatee.
So, Joe, big sports fan,
Absolutely.
big St. Louis sports fan. Just so you know, none of these questions are St. Louis sports related.
Well,
So, good luck.
um,
But you like trivia.
hey, always.
So let's get through this. Here's how it works. You'll get 3 questions and then a tiebreaker. I'll give you the answer choices, but when DB comes back, he will not get the choices. Sound
Perfect.
good?
So that's golden for me.
Yeah, I don't want to see anything from the peanut gallery. Last time we had that, and Kendall went 3 for 3, and it wasn't even close because we had 10 people.
Yeah, she's going to give me the answer.
Yep. No shot. Here we go. Question number 1. 2 nights ago, Nikola Jokic recorded his 14th triple-double in his last 20 games. He is the second player in NBA history to record 14 triple-doubles over a 20-game span. What active NBA player did he join in that company? Is it Russell Westbrook, Luka Doncic, or LeBron James?
Ooh, that's tough. I want to say it's Luka, just because that's sticking out to me. Because I want to say he just had that, but then it's LeBron. He's the GOAT, so it's like, that's tough. I'm gonna go. Probably, I gotta go with LeBron. I gotta feel like that's.
LeBron,
I think that's
okay.
a lock.
Question number 2. Beside the Eagles, the last time a Super Bowl participant lost both coordinators in the same offseason was 2016. What team fell victim to that?
Good.
So beside the Eagles, the last time a Super Bowl participant lost both coordinators was in 2016. Who fell victim to that? Was it the Patriots, the Seahawks, or the Falcons?
I think it's the Patriots.
And question number 3. The Winnipeg Jets currently have the most wins in the Western Conference. What were the Jets originally called? Were they the Thrashers, the Coyotes, or the Whalers?
Oh, that's an easy one. I'm a hockey fan, so that is the Whalers.
And tiebreaker question, Joe. How many teams haven't won a Stanley Cup? Give me a number.
Ooh, let me think. I think it is. I want to say like 8 or 9. So I'm gonna go. Is it over under or is it closest?
Just
to?
Closest to.
I'm gonna go 9. I'm just gonna go solid 9.
He is going 9. All right. At this point, we are going to text DB. Uh-oh. J. Rich down low doesn't think he got one right.
Really?
We'll have to wait and see. So as we text DB to come back in, Joe, how you feeling?
Not very good.
Not very good.
All
right. Well, you're playing for.
Because I just realized what I did.
You're playing for a Hale Varsity Club gift card.
Well, hopefully DB doesn't get anything.
Avery, will you call DB back in for me?
That's what's making me mad.
I wonder if Damon's feeling trivia today. He wasn't too confident when he sat down in the chair this morning.
You know, I messed up on the NHL question.
Uh-oh.
I did.
Uh-oh.
I was right. Unbelievable.
You can stay on. Maybe DB has one of those days too.
I need him to have one of those days.
Oh no!
I made a stupid mistake.
Confident.
I made a stupid mistake.
Can't be as bad as I did one time.
Hey,
do you think he knows the difference between the College World Series and
the World Series?
If you do, you're one step ahead of me.
DB, you excited for this?
I'm trying to get on a winning streak.
Yeah, well, you're trying to knock Joe off from getting Hale Varsity Club gift cards here.
Ooh.
So are you a man of the people or are you a man of yourself?
I don't know.
When trivia rolls around, DB's a man of himself. There we go. You ready?
Yep.
All right. So 2 nights ago, Nikola Jokic recorded his 14th triple-double in the last 20 games.
Uh-huh.
He is the second player in NBA history to record 14 trip-dubs over a 20-game span. What active NBA player did he join in that company?
Russell Westbrook.
Question number 2. Beside the Eagles, the last time a Super Bowl participant lost both coordinators in the same offseason was in 2016. What team fell victim to that?
One more time.
Beside the Eagles, the last time a Super Bowl participant lost both coordinators was in the same offseason, and that was 2016. Who fell victim to that?
New England Patriots.
And question number 3. The Winnipeg Jets currently have the most wins in the Western Conference. What were the Jets originally called?
They were the Bombers.
And
no. Wait, who was the Nordiques? That was Quebec. No, the Bombers. No, that's CFL. Winnipeg was... Fudge.
Remember, you do have a Hail Mary left.
Yeah, give me a Hail Mary.
Was it the Thrashers, the Coyotes, or the Whalers?
They were the Thrashers.
And the tiebreaker question, DB, how many teams haven't won a Stanley Cup?
$19.
19. Haven't won?
Yeah.
All right.
Seems high, doesn't it?
It does seem high, but we'll see how you did. All right, let's go through the answers here. 2 nights ago, Nikola Jokic recorded his 14th triple-double in his last 20 games. Second player in NBA history to have 14 trip-dubs over 20 games. What active NBA player did he join in that company? Joe, you said LeBron. DB, you said Russell Westbrook. And the answer is Russell Westbrook.
Let's go.
Do you remember that big stretch of years that he had, like tripped up?
Yeah, I'm mad at myself because that was with the Thunder, and I should have known that.
There he is. He's back.
Unbelievable. It's unbelievable. I choked under the pressure. Being the first time on the radio, I mean, it was nerve-wracking.
It is. He is a radio virgin.
But I've had some blunders though. That's the World Series one may not have been my worst one.
I'm trying to think back to another.
How about the phone provider?
Oh yeah, I asked for a phone provider, and you said Apple.
Yeah,
that's right. I remember listening to that podcast.
I'm like, I mean, I'm for the carrier.
I've had some doozies now.
All right, question number 2. So DB up 1-0. Question number 2. Beside the Eagles, the last time a Super Bowl participant lost both coordinators in the same offseason was 2016. What team fell victim to that? You both said the Patriots. You're both incorrect. It is the Atlanta Falcons.
Okay.
So Shanahan went to the 49ers, and the DC got fired and ended up going to the Chargers, I think.
He should have gotten fired.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Mm-hmm. It's all right. DB didn't know that either.
I know. Hey, I didn't feel that bad.
Patriots are the safe bet, though.
Except I know he got the next question right, and I know I got it wrong because I just am dumb.
What was the next?
The next question was, so the Jets currently have the most points in the Western Conference. What were the Jets originally called? Joe, you said the Whalers. DB, you said the Thrashers. It is indeed the Thrashers.
The lifeline helped me because I knew I just needed I almost went with the Nordiques. Yeah. I know. So the Bomber, it's CFL.
I love how you mapped it out though in your head because you're like Bombers. No, Nordiques. No, I'm going back Bombers. Wait, that's CFL. And I'm like, what did we just do for the last 5 seconds?
Do you not work with me?
I love it.
I go through these weird bouts of self-processing. And I think out loud. It's kind of nerve-wracking.
Hey, our tiebreaker question. How many teams haven't won a Stanley Cup? I was taken back by your answer of 19.
Me too. I know. I wanted to say 12, but
Joe, you said 9, and the answer is 12.
Yeah.
So,
wow, that's impressive.
I wanted to. Do you know why I didn't say 12? Because it was too clean of a number.
So you went with 19.
So I went with 19.
Did you know how many teams are in the NHL, DB?
31.
That is correct. Yep. So you're telling me
that
only 12 teams have won.
Man, I might have gone 0 for 3, but that could have been the worst answer.
That a boy.
I'm consistent. See, you haven't even met Daniel. He's
Blues fan.
He's killed a lot of times I process out loud. So I'll say some things that come across as kind of stupid, but I don't really mean them as actual factual. I'm just thinking. And he's very good at reminding me of the dumb things that I say out loud.
I love that.
It's kind of how I'll get there eventually.
Savage.
Joe, so unfortunately, DB got you. But we'll still give you a gift card. We'll give him a $10 gift card.
Yeah,
hey, I love that.
I think we did that whenever.
People that make decisions are here. They can do that.
Yeah. I think we did.
She didn't give me any of the answers. She wasn't giving me any head nods or nothing.
She's probably just laughing.
Well, Avery's still in Wonderland after watching the Chiefs parade. So.
Was that not wild, though?
How many people were there? Or
yeah.
So
when they say things like between 500,000 and a million,
imagine having that window.
Just the right?
Well, did you see Mahomes gave the trophy to just some random fan and
walked away? I'm like, so do you know when I saw that? Do you know I didn't think it was? I said, that can't be the real trophy because he's not even trying to go get it back.
That's what I said. I said, there's no way that's the real trophy.
But how about the look that he gave when your boy threw him the beer and it was like short? He rolled his eyes like, really?
He's like, let me throw passes.
That's all you got?
That's why I'm the quarterback here in town and not you.
I make a living being accurate.
Hey, Joe, thanks for playing, man. We appreciate it. And we'll hang out after the show, of course. Hey, coming up next, we're going to talk to the bald man, Mike Sautter, here on Coffee and Cream. Indeed he is. Mike Sautter here with us at the 9 o'clock hour here on Coffee and Cream. You can't hear us?
I can't hear.
Oh, you sound fantastic.
You're plugged in, though.
He's in.
And you're potted up.
How's that, Mike?
I hear it a little better now. Yep, I got it.
Is that good?
I got it. I can hear myself and you.
How about that?
That's awful.
All DB had to do was touch the black box, and it worked. Stop it.
Whoa,
Stop
whoa.
Stop it.
Whoa,
Stop it.
whoa.
Stop it.
Hey, so
you said
can I just tell you that
stop it.
That door is really messing with my OCD.
What door? Oh, that one walking in and out.
Yeah, it's just open.
It's open.
It just needs to be
because now he's looking out at the chairs on top of tables and he's thinking, what if a chair fell down off that table without anybody walking by?
Totally distracted. I hear silverware and all that other type of stuff.
Hey, Mike, it's great to see that you drove yourself this morning.
At least I'm not getting dug out like Shane. Some other man having to dig my car out. I know that.
How was it? Carpool?
He's looking at me like I'm gonna kill you.
How was it waking up yesterday and thinking, man, I can't drive my car?
Not great.
Because you obviously went to state pretty early.
Yeah.
To the CHI.
I needed our friend Cody to come get me because I drive a car with 20-inch wheels, so it wasn't gonna make it.
He was quick to tell us.
You know what? I had a plan. I created a plan. I stuck to the plan, and it worked.
And you got there and you got home and safe as a kitten.
My wife came and picked me up in her, Ford Explorer 4-wheel drive car.
Why didn't you just take that?
Kids.
Got it.
Yeah. So grandma had to watch kids yesterday. Because of that, she had to drive them, and we'd rather be safer with kids in the car than me. I don't matter as much, I guess.
No, I get that.
Yeah. But that's why. That's why.
Hey, what were your takeaways from day one?
Of wrestling, state wrestling.
State wrestling.
Yeah. I mean, kind of, they are who they thought they were. Millard South's really good. Aquinas and D's really good. Class B is very much so up in the air. Bennington has a chance, but losing potentially Ratonia. We'll see today if he can go. He's got a big eye that popped on him last night after taking a hit to it. So that's a lot of team points that you lose. But I guess if he can wrestle back and get that done, then that will certainly help them. Skutt's pretty good. I've asked, on our Mike Chuck podcast, which is just which is just high school wrestling. We asked multiple times this year, is Skutt back? And yesterday they were pretty good.
Solidified that claim for you.
Kidzo was a monster.
Yeah, can you believe going in? He was only ranked 4th.
That's crazy.
I mean, there's a lot of ups and downs.
He didn't play. He missed a lot of time because of the knee.
Yeah,
but that dude is relentless. His first round match, that kid out there wanted nothing to do. He didn't want to be there. He like fell down over it. He's like, I'm out of here.
Just take it.
Yeah,
I think, Jace, his brother's going to Nebraska. He's going to pitch.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I think he just made that announcement not too long ago.
Yeah.
So a lot going on in that family.
He made me miss Kale yesterday.
No, I didn't.
Sure did.
I'm sorry, I did not.
Yeah, we're talking
Chinese
here.
Kale Lortzen, who's going for 4 state titles. You'll see it. You could see him tonight or tomorrow. He'll be the big story tomorrow because him and I guess Reagan Galloway is technically going for 4 too. The girl from Amherst who is a machine. But she had the NWSCA, Nebraska Wrestling Coaches Association, whatever that is, their state titles before it was sanctioned. So she's going for her 4th if you count that, and Kale's the only one going for 4. He's really good, and his quarterfinal match lasted he made it to the second period.
I wouldn't know. I didn't see him.
The girls were fantastic yesterday. There's a lot of excitement.
Oh yeah. Well, so the reason I didn't see him was because Sautter goes, "Hey, there are 3 matches going on at the same
time on the girls' side. You're gonna want to watch that."
Well, and he goes, "Mat 3 has Kale. Mat 4 has Rossiter," and he goes, "Man, Zoe's over there on like
8 in the corner."
Yeah, and you're like, dude, I need highlights of Zoe, and I have to get highlights of Kale too. Like, can you go shoot it?
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, I really wanted to watch Kale, but I'll go watch Zoe. And Zoe did a great job of going the distance.
Yeah, it was great. You got some number 1
good reversal
wrestler,
to get the 2 points that she needed.
Not to be all about West Side here today, especially girls wrestling, because my friend Bob Mulligan is the head coach, but them getting all 5 girls into the semifinals is huge
for team points. Huge.
I think if you going into it, if they would have gotten 3, if you said 3, that would have been
a good goal.
Really good. Yeah, of the 5. So they're, I think, right there, second place behind South Sioux City, which just has a ton of numbers. So it's kind of in Grand Island's right in there too on the girls' side.
You could make the case that, and listen, it's Rossiter may be the most talented. She's hurt, so she's kind of a shell of herself, and she's still managing to win. But Piper Zadiska is wrestling the best right now. And she wrestles a lot how I envision. She wrestles the closest to what I think guys wrestle of anybody on that roster. She was so impressive.
Use a lot of brute force and stuff like that too.
Her fitness is top notch right now. She shoots. She's not afraid to double.
First time she ever beat that girl was last night.
And you know what? And if I'm and I forget the young lady from Bellevue East. She's probably kicking herself because that's just how difficult wrestling is. She went from having Piper in potential trouble to a quick hip flip. Bam, she's on her back. Like that's how quickly it can be over. And we saw it a couple times. We saw 11-2. We saw a fall, a tech fall. We saw how about
Abdi from Bryant. Yeah, he was down 11-5, comes back to win 14-12 victory.
Yeah.
In overtime, that would have been a pretty sizable upset, I think.
Yeah, because he's third right now. Is he ranked?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We saw 2 number 1s go down in B though already in the boys, right?
Yeah, and Durden from Papillion defending champ lost yesterday too in the quarter. So. At 103,
you know what's crazy? Anything like that can happen. I remember watching a kid in.
But like when you have like your Tyson Terrys and guys like that, and Joel Adams, who's just
so that's what I was going to say. A name slipping on me. West Sioux kid, smaller, went on to wrestle in college. Same type of thing though. Like going to be a 4-timer, has like pretty much never lost. I think he was like 2 losses in his entire career. You would think like, oh, it's a lock that he goes. And he lost in the semifinals.
Right.
And he lost to somebody. And this is how you beat someone like the best wrestler in the state. For anybody out there that is playing underdog, playing spoiler today and into the rest of the weekend.
That's every day of my life.
Yeah, that is true. That is true.
The guy that stays mad at the world. He's
the way to win those.
Tell me I can't do something. Find out.
The way to win those type of matches is what? It's going deep.
Yeah.
All you have to do is you got to go deep and you have to win 2-1.
Yeah.
Like that's how people beat the best of the best.
Yeah.
You out duel them.
Right. Yeah.
I
Good.
gotta find that name.
Lot going on, man.
There's a lot going on this week.
You've got
state softball changes.
Do you gotta like that move, right?
Well, I do because I have to be out there
for non-selfish reasons.
Yeah, and it opens up that Friday night a little bit for football too, right? So, last year was the last week of the regular season, I believe, for football, and so last year I went to Ravenna and Riverside because I needed something close to Hastings. So, it's a good move. It's a very I think softball coming to. Either it was going to be Omaha or Lincoln. It was going to be Bolin or UNO or Omaha's facility, which is fantastic. What a lot of people don't think about, I think, in this situation is frankly, the NSA really cares about ticket sales. And you look at what happened last year when that was at Anderson for baseball in the spring. They sold a lot of tickets. That's pretty much what the move is. And they just want a little bit nicer facility. It gives a couple days off too, right? So
I kind of like that.
I know people, a few complaints have been, what about, they're playing on dirt the whole year and then now they have to go play on turf. Well, I don't know, find a turf football field if you make it to the championship game on like Sunday or Saturday to practice or something, right? Like find somewhere to go to get some grounders.
Mike Sautter here for sympathy.
Well, it's just like it doesn't come on, right? Like and frankly, like I know in Omaha, you look at Gretna, they have a fantastic facility. It's all turf. And girls have played softball on turf before, but it's a really good move. And also another thing that the NSA board and NSA needs to think about too is Title IX stuff. Like, oh, so state baseball is at this facility and it's going to be on TV and, like Nebraska Public over the air TV. Yeah. And, wait, our games are not. And as far as, those are thoughts that they have to have. And that's kind of all that kind of played into it. I know Dan Masters worked really hard on.
I like him a lot.
He's fantastic. On meeting with certain people and talking to Hastings. Hastings still gets it, like the large part of it. They were cool with it. The people that run the facility and all that, they were cool with it. They are making changes to the Hastings complex too, like they're expanding the bathrooms and a few different things. So to make it a little better for teams. because they want to keep it, right? It's an economic boom. People stay in hotels and restaurants and all that
Sure.
stuff. It really is for that weekend.
We got into a pretty spirited discussion. Was it last week about Chucky Hepburn and kind of how he was treated and booing versus not booing and things like that. And we watched Gonzaga last night. And
was it last week? I think it was this week.
Yeah, and Hunter Salas.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about
which boy was Brian Edwards
who
White on
I told
LMU?
Yeah, but he was pretty good. He pushed on the total and he nailed.
But LMU,
Maryland was a no-brainer too.
Yeah.
So I mean,
good on him.
for
But
that.
I just meant like that one play of, hey, Gonzaga like kicked the living.
What was
stew out
that?
of them.
Was that 108? Was it 105? 65? Something like
108 to like 68.
Yeah,
something like that.
Barn burner. Right.
Well, it was 78 to 35 at one point, and there was like 14 minutes to play.
So safe to say early on here, Mike, that Chucky's had the advantage, but in Jason Green is redshirting, but of the Trouts, the Greens, the Hepburns, the Salases, those guys that were kind of compared in their classes, it's going to come up again in football with this upcoming group. We saw it with Betts and Watts. I mean, people just do that for the top
They just
classes.
will be
who. Chucky, then who's going to be next for you?
Early on, I guess Chucky's going to, and this is something we've had.
He's the face of their promos.
Yeah, I mean, he's the guy, right? And something we've talked about for a long time. Chucky was going to be a really good college basketball player.
Yeah.
Hunter still has the maybe long-term potential
to be a good
pro.
Yeah, probably needs a different fit
defensively. All that.
Yeah,
like
he's become quite the.
He's long, quick, twitchy, all those things. I will say this: there's been air quotes reporting on potential transfer on those type of kids, and I would say this: I feel very comfortable in saying this publicly because I talk to people and not playing the rumor. I would say if there's a good possibility Trout is probably going to leave.
Yep.
And I would say if he does, I would lean heavily on a Creighton. Girlfriend plays volleyball at Creighton.
That's been talked about for months.
A long time. Yeah. So I would say that's a realistic possibility. Hunter, on the other hand, I would put it at maybe 50-50 if he even leaves at all. I mean, if he does, he's got to find out who else is staying, who's not. I think he wants more minutes. I'm pretty sure his family wants him to play more. All of those things. And I will say this: if he does leave Arizona, because Coach Lloyd is the one that recruited him to Gonzaga, clearly in the conversation there, would be in the conversation there. I don't think Nebraska is a realistic possibility. I absolutely don't think that is. I personally would say a Kansas, Alabama would probably be there because they were kind of there at the end in high school too. I wouldn't rule out a Creighton either. Maybe it depends on how their roster shakes out and opens up and who leaves and who doesn't and goes pro and all that stuff. But I would, if I was a betting man right now, and if he leaves, I think it's a big if as far as Hunter. I would lean towards Kansas. Or Arizona.
You mentioned Bama, and this is a conversation that we had right at the top of the 8:00 hour. Because when the update came out that Carter Nelson got the offer from Bama, an 8-man player, which is kind of crazy in today's world to think an 8-man player would get recognized by that big of a school.
Go out for track. Everybody go out for track. Do track.
But what I was going to ask you this is, the conversation we had was, just the state of Nebraska is producing more and more FBS players, and more than ever at this point.
FCS now too.
Yeah, and FCS too. And a lot of credit goes to recruiting profiles, game footage, things like that. But how crazy is it that we live in a world today that a guy that plays 8-man football in a small town in Nebraska gets noticed at
Ainsworth, Nebraska too.
Right.
It's like
that gets noticed by Alabama.
Right? Yeah.
How crazy is that's the world we live in today?
You're taking a private jet in Norfolk and you're driving a bit, right? To get there even. So it's pretty crazy.
And it's
cool. I feel good. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It's cool to see all of these high school athletes get those
I would
offers.
still say that I would feel really good if you're Nebraska and with Carter Nelson. I just think at the end of the day, that's probably what he ends up doing. Talk to him a little bit about different things like that. I mean, it's his track athletic. I mean, it's 7-foot high jumper. That's what makes it pop, right? Like I will say,
And so the other recruiting
if there is a
profiles
knock
that he has
yeah,
too from like Michigan and other
right,
schools.
yeah, like when Notre Dame comes to see you in Ainsworth, that matters. Like that's kind of like whoa. We'll say this though, like at the 8-man level, if you're that dominant of an athlete, like team probably should win a little more. Like that's just my. I
covered 8-man a lot, and if you played that
now he's not the quarterback, but at the same time,
but he played a little hybrid,
right? I just think you probably should win probably a little more if you're that dominant of a guy, right? In high school.
Yeah, that's interesting. Just because I'm kind of in agreement there,
right?
And I always hear about
tape matters. And
I always hear
8-man in particular. If we look at 11-man, like one player doesn't sell the show,
and it's just interesting, right? Because just having firsthand experience, obviously coaching Jalen Lloyd, a gifted, freaky, deaky athlete, but is going to have quite the transition.
Right,
I'm safe in saying, it's going to be very tough to transition playing physical 5, power 5 football night in, day in, day out. So I get the base and the comp,
right?
But even those guys, I talk to Jalen almost every other day, right? And he's getting ready for track now. Like he knows there's a certain level of physicality that he knows that the schools can't measure, that he wants to own up to, that he thinks he can bring to the table. So there's so much more than goes in.
More than run faster than everybody else.
Because that has very little to do with whether you can function at a sport like football.
Yeah.
This
class is shaping up real good though. The 2024 class is shaping up real good.
Yeah.
I guess you can say that.
You look at Teddy Rizak finally getting some burn.
Yeah,
right?
We talked about him.
He's had a hot.
He's the dude that because he's not the quarterback. Anthony is the quarterback. He's the one that Anthony got all the run during the season.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now it's a little probably slower of a process for Anthony as far as recruitment goes because he plays quarterback. And there's some question: is he just what is he? Is he dual threat or is he just a runner or is he just an athlete? Can he play other positions? I think that'll all get sorted out. In the coming few months here with camp season and all that. I'm not sure how much they'll actually camp because they play baseball. Mm-hmm. So multi-sport guys, right?
What do you think about as districts get ready to settle in? Who do you think is important for them
basketball
to host?
Well, I would say West Side's on the brink, right?
Yeah,
real tough. Got some help with Pius losing,
and they're playing some of their best basketball right now.
Yeah, Pius losing to Fremont got some help there. I think that one's important to host. I think if Lincoln, all of them, if they can host, would be good. Prep clearly, if going to host, and that matters if it's a night game versus the Saturday afternoon at 2.
Yeah,
because just no one shows up. I think that's important. Pius can be hard to play at. If they could,
we went there on a sleepy Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, it can be tough.
Did not.
It's a little dark,
particularly well.
No window. Like it's just kind of, it's kind of a big pitch gym. One team you don't want to. Every 2 seed's going to be tough. Like they're going to be a tough team. Every 2 seed. But
anybody not named Bellevue West is going to be tough in that district.
It is. I think it is
wide open.
Very wide open, as it has been all year. And I will say, see what Millard North does tonight against Bellevue West. I wish I could go to both the girls and boys games because I think they're both going to be really, really good. But I need to be at state wrestling sim. I do. So I wish I could. And then Southwest, like,
I'll definitely be watching that girls' game.
yeah,
'Cause
where is
I just want to see. I think Miller North's got some issues to address in terms of when they see these physical, athletic
Guard,
backcourts,
yeah.
these guards.
Mhm.
Like that's been their Achilles, and
Mhm.
Miller South and again Bellevue West both have that, and no coincidence. Those are
Those are the
their
teams that struggle with it. Yeah.
those are their two
The
losses.
depth certainly helps and matters, but you got to get
and they
those
shoot
people-
it so well, but they got to keep those guards out of the paint,
Yeah, figure out a way.
or not let Maya Baba score 20-some
20.
points in the first half.
Yeah,
like 20 did.
I think it was 22.
Yeah.
Just
Well,
being-
when she pulled up from the logo at Miller South, I almost left. I was like, yeah, that wasn't even a heat check. It was just like,
Hey, I'm going to do it.
We're gonna
Right.
pop this off.
hey, yeah,
Hey, watch this.
I'm gonna do this because I can. So I just was like, it's gonna be one of those
There,
nights.
there
It's one of
are-
those shots, though, that you get pulled if you miss it.
So
Right?
Well, she'd made 6 before that, so I don't know.
Well, I know, but like,
But yeah, me and you.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Dude, I'm serious. It was like right.
yeah,
It was
oh,
on
yeah.
the logo.
She'll
It
mess
was
around.
like 27 feet.
Right.
They just beat the press.
She doesn't mess around.
Not even
So
thinking
you
about
have
getting
numbers.
to the rim.
Right.
Yeah, it's nah.
There's some big
Pull up
games.
the logo. Cash.
There's some big games.
Really big games.
High school basketball
tons.
tonight. You have or the next 2 days. Miller North and Bellevue West is the top, right? That's the number one game of the week. Gretna Southwest is tomorrow.
Although don't tell that to West Side because
Bell West and West Side.
they handled Miller North
Yeah.
pretty easily.
Bell West West Side's tomorrow afternoon. I'm gonna try really hard to make it for the second half. I don't know.
You're
if
in the
I
middle
will.
of finals though.
I know. It starts at 5:15. I'm like, can it start at 7? If it starts at 7, I could make it. But Creed at Platteview tonight is a big one. and
Big
beat-
one.
Yeah,
Big.
Platteview looked
Feel
really
really good
good
at one. That
when
one.
I saw him at Heartland.
Tell you,
Really good.
Creed's tough though. Size, like they're physical and tough.
which Mosman does Platteview get? That's
Yeah,
going to be
that's true.
big for them.
Fair.
Yeah.
Platteview, they live and die by the 3 too.
Oh, they
Live
shoot that
and
thing.
die.
They don't mess around.
Sautter, appreciate your time, man. Hey, we didn't get to what we're looking forward to this weekend because something else went off the rails, so we'll do that next. Hey, welcome back to the show. I wish DB would have stuck with Mitchell whenever I was going through my subways because Mitchell does indeed have a subway. And then I looked up how many subways there actually are in Nebraska, and there's a ton. So if you want to ever check that out, just type in how many subways are in Nebraska. I don't even want to count the total number here, but there's easy
So no Subway in Benkelman.
easy 100 plus. No subway in Benkelman. And then on YouTube, where you can also comment at any time, Erica told me, is it Ceresco? Is that
Yeah.
it? Ceresco does not have a subway either. So you know what? I was wrong. The majority of small towns that
I
I,
wonder
feel
what-
like I go to have subways.
So what's in Ceresco other than furniture? That's what I would want to know because there was legendary Ernie's in Ceresco.
Ernie's,
It was it's the place.
the big
to be.
urn.
Yeah,
The Big Urn.
yeah. Ernie's in Ceresco was like.
What do you know about Big?
Not a darn thing.
Miles and miles and miles.
So I don't like. I'm not a. My kids would eat Subway. I'm not a big Subway guy.
You know, I wasn't.
They do have
until I went
fantastic-
back, and I'm like, Subway's good.
they have good breakfast.
They do have good breakfast.
So you know my thing about Subway, it's super shallow. It's like the minute you walk in there, you smell like the bread,
Oh yeah, a little bit.
and I don't like to smell like food.
A
It's
little
just-
bit.
I don't have any good reasons other than that. How shallow is that?
I
Pretty
wouldn't.
shallow.
I wouldn't say it's shallow. It's just preference.
Yeah, it's
Right?
like
Although that does make me laugh because you love to cook and like
it's so.
especially smoke.
Oh yeah,
And so, are you okay with getting a little smoke smell on you?
yeah, yeah. So that doesn't bother me near as much as, but I will kind of do candles or have the doors or the windows open.
Mhm.
Right. I told you I got the smoking gun as a gift, and shoot, I'll use that in the kitchen, and I just turn the ceiling fan on, and it's almost gone right away. But man, I use the cast iron skillet now because I figured out we watched that whole video on how to.
Right.
What is it again?
It's how to. Oh my gosh! It's a weird.
not-
It's like,
it's
it's like
not-
soap.
It's not even cleaning. The term isn't
no.
even cleaning. Hang on. Amazing Daniel. What's the term that you use for skillets
put your
and your
mic
black
down.
stove? Season.
Season. You season.
Seasoning your skillet. Yeah. So once I figured out how to do that,
Mm-hmm. Yes.
it I've used my skillet a lot more now because I have two. So I seasoned
sense.
them. I've seasoned them both now, and I do it repeatedly.
Hey, before we get into what we're looking forward to this weekend, something DB looked forward to
Tiger
the
Woods.
other day was Dingman's Collision Center and going there and getting his work figured out. 4 locations throughout the metro area, along with that standalone mechanical shop at 120th and Maple. They've been in the business for over 25 years, and you know why they've been in the business for 25 years?
Pretty
It's
good at what
because
they
they
do.
treat people with respect and they do the job. If doing a job can be anything more than just getting in, getting out. Like, yeah, you can survive, but they treat people well and do the job. It's the good combo, and that's Dingman's for you. Family-owned, family-run, local business. If you have car trouble, go to Dingman's Collision Center. They'll hook you up. Nice work,
They did
Shaner.
a good job, Shane.
Nice work, Shaner.
I was listening because I was talking. I told you how they kept me company.
Mm-hmm.
The gentleman while I was there for a while, and so many people came in, and they were a little gun shy, if you will, because of so many cars that are lined up out front. But I still think you got to come in and ask, because sometimes like they don't have parts for those vehicles that are out there.
Right.
They're waiting. And so they still have opportunities to work on your vehicles. Because I think 4 of the 6, 6 people came in like 25 minutes. Maybe
It's a good problem to have.
Maybe it's a little longer than that. And they kept assuming that they would just be overwhelmed. And they fixed everything. I mean, one guy came in because his car had overheated. So, I mean, there's range.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's body work. They even turned down business. He said, I don't think we'd be the company for that. It's more restoration than it is vehicle repair. Maybe you want to look at such and such and such and such. So they do that too.
Now, you mentioned Tiger Woods. I mean, talk about his return on day one, huh? Ending his round with 3 birdies. It's great to see that man back on the course.
Tweet. Yeah,
Great to see him.
I'm a big fan.
Same.
And I love a good redemption story. He's still writing a book. So I'm all in on
Best
Tiger.
golfer of all time?
For me, yes.
I think for me too.
But I got the tail end of Jack, so
and you know me, I'm a big experience guy.
Yeah.
If I didn't see you,
I get it.
I can't make you what everybody else tells me to make you. Tiger's my guy.
Yeah. I'm in complete agreement with you.
So I'm hoping he does well at the Genesis. Now, again, college baseball begins today. Omaha and Nebraska are out west. Creighton is headed south. They're going to McNeese, Nebraska to San Diego. And, oh, man, don't tell me. It's slipping my mind. UCLA for Omaha, right?
Yeah.
Yep, there it is.
And they've opened with them a couple of times now. So Coach Porter knows what he's doing, and he's got a good enough staff. Remember, they competed their brains out with UCLA last year, and it got everybody's attention. Didn't necessarily set the tone for the season because they couldn't stay healthy, but folks were like, "Oh,
how about attention grabbing when Ed Service came on and told us that he doesn't really like playing in warm environments because that's not how they play.
He does not believe in the false sense of security.
How amazing is that to acknowledge as a coach? And I mean, as somebody that just watches a ton of baseball, never would have thought of that.
Yeah,
and I played.
I know.
And I wanted to play in warm weather. Like, why would I want to play in the cold? But I get it.
He said the majority of our season, that's not what we get. So, and he was even getting it down to the degrees. It's like, hey, 50, 55, it's kind of going to be what you see this spring. And I was like.
Now, you can argue, too, that, hey, if you want to play, at the CWS, they play in warm weather. So there's, something to be said about that. But in order to get to the CWS, you have to get through your season.
Yeah.
And that's what he thinks about more than just making it to the big stage.
And I think there's an early one today, too. It's, I think, Missouri and Okie State are playing. I think Okie State's going to be pretty legit. It's a lot of college baseball. You got hockey this weekend.
Omaha hockey headed to Miami. How about Simon Lekatsky and how he's been playing?
So I'm interested in terms of the emotional psyche, right? With anytime you lose part of the family, and I mean,
100%.
I think those guys knew that obviously that
the time was
he
coming.
was sick, yeah. And so, do you worry about the mental makeup at all, Coach Gerard?
No, I don't think so.
Gab's message on social media yesterday was fantastic.
It was. I think they are actually going to turn this into a a so-called like tribute. Like, hey, this is for Coach.
Short of a rally cry.
Right. Yeah, this is for Coach. We're going to do this for Coach, and that's going to play more into it than, hey, I think it's going to mess with their mentality. But all in all, yeah, they have something to play for this weekend. First off, they are still trying to play for home ice.
Trying to get your host game right.
And, after rerunning the numbers last week and talking to the SID over at Omaha, I realized that math was incorrect by many members, including myself, who talked about how big that series against CC could have been in clinching. It couldn't have happened. I'm not a math guy, apparently.
Said I ran the numbers.
Didn't work.
Yeah.
Didn't work. But hey, if you can find a way to sweep in Miami, I'm not saying it happens now, but depending on what teams lose and where this team stands after the Miami weekend, and of course, take it one game at a time. But come St. Cloud State next week, you may only need a couple of points. You may only need, say, an overtime point, or who knows. There's a lot of variables that play into that. But between the pipes, Simon Lakatsky was NCHC Rookie of the Week last week, and rightfully so. 1.87 goals against average. He went 1-0-1. He had 57 saves for a save percentage of .934. Pretty darn good. And then Nebraska meets Maryland at home. The Terps coming off a high, beating Purdue. Purdue, I'm starting to realize what some people are saying may not be the team.
Remember we talked about this, and I let somebody talk me into one of our national guys, and they're like, hey, listen, the quad one victories. But my concern all along was the backcourt. And it's not just that simple, like, because it's just hard for those guys to get easy shots. Maryland suffocated those guys.
I thought you were about to say Maryland sucks.
They totally suffocated that backcourt.
It
was
wasn't even
just
close.
hard to get easy shots.
When they went on their run, wasn't even close.
And what they outscored them after the technical?
Oh, man.
I mean, they turned into a bludgeoning because they tied it on that possession.
Mm-hmm.
They basically turned a 37-31 deficit into a 39-37 lead.
Right.
And it's just like bang, 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 bang. It's like, ball game.
This is a small sample size of what you're going to see this weekend. State wrestling continues. Again, the Nebraska women have a date with Caitlin Clark. That happening in Iowa. And then Creighton.
Who may not be the National Player of the Year.
You think so?
I don't know, man. Nova's got a superstar.
They do. But, gosh, it's hard to touch Caitlin Clark.
Is what they call her.
And then Creighton has St. John's, who just beat Providence. When we come back, Matt Vrzal. Matt Vrzal on with us now. Matt, good morning.
Morning, fellas. How we doing?
Matty, how are you, bud? You're a little subdued, man. How many pies are you throwing already?
We're good, man. They got parent-teacher conferences, so we get a day off from that, so it's nice.
Sautter just lobbed a scud. He told you to wake up. I know you'd like to say something.
I'm just contemplating how the cream part of the show, having been in Omaha now for a while, how you haven't brought him over. Do you hate cream in your coffee, Benny?
Well, so here's the thing, and I know you'll get a kick out of this. I'm actually the cream. He's the coffee. How about that? You're like, yeah, whatever, David.
I know you like white things, Benny.
Yes.
Oh, Matt's totally that guy,
and I love it.
He's Matty. So
we're gonna get along just fine.
Yeah, he's the king of snark as well, man. How'd you survive? Who does your
what does Bald Sautter complain about now? His life's too hard, or he works so much, or what?
Well, he's all of the above. I can't even remember what he said now. What did
he say? Tell him to wake up.
Yeah, he told you to wake up. Sauter's the hardest working man in show business. Just ask him, right?
Yeah, man. Hey, enough about me telling you how great I am. Now you tell me how great I am.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, Matt, first experience with you here, and DB's filled me in a little bit. But some of your things, like the deodorant and the cold trick, in order to keep yourself warm, because when you coach, it's like, hey, I don't need to wear sleeves. And then you also rock the handlebar mustache, which is sick because I cannot grow facial hair.
That thing is awful.
It is awesome. It looks so sweet. Hey, when does that come back?
Well, you have a terrible memory because we did a podcast out here, Varsity Radio,
Oh, that's right. That is right. I was here for that.
Yes,
Yeah.
you fanboyed over Tommy, and I couldn't even get hello.
Fanboy?
Oh, here we go.
No, I think I introduced myself to both of you.
Nah. I'm real
come
good
on.
at this game. I'm real good at this game, bud. And I remember things.
Fanboy.
Yeah. So
he's an equal opportunity offender. This just did. It ain't just me.
The deodorant thing, I'm very superstitious. So nobody, and I mean nobody, wants to see me in a pair of slacks coaching in August. That just is not good. And so then when I get shorts on it, and people think it has to do with wins and losses, it doesn't. I've done this, and I've yet to have a player at my position be hurt. So no conkies, no knees, no nothing. So as long as I'm coaching and my boys are safe, I will be in shorts in the winter. And yeah, the handlebar mustache one, I don't know where you got that one. I've never had a handlebar. I've had a mustache, but never a handlebar.
It didn't come all the way down?
No, you must that. Oh, you're talking about like I had a goatee or like a Fu Manchu back in the day, but
Maybe
never.
that's it.
Hey, I got to give you a little bit of credit.
Fingers had a handlebar mustache.
I got to give you a little credit though, Matty, because our guys buy into the deodorant.
Oh, wait, hold on, Benny. Hold on. It's Taylor. Taylor had a handlebar mustache. I never had a handlebar mustache.
That's not what he had. He didn't.
Yeah, it does look like that.
You got your bald whites confused.
I may have the terminology off. Hey, here, well, I do got to give you a little credit though, Matty, because our guys subscribe to the deodorant thing, and they don't wear sleeves. And I felt like, even in the state championship, where guys pretty much go out bare arm, man. I think a lot of that started because they bought into the deodorant thing because we practiced outside getting ready for that thing.
Oh yeah, it works.
I agree.
I have it in my car just in case my car breaks down and it's cold out. I have a case.
Hey, let me ask you something. With all that's going on and I don't know kind of where you're at with the culture talk and the discipline and kind of setting the expectation levels at Nebraska like Rhule has had, but do you get the sense that he's what the doctor ordered in terms of the day-to-day for the kids or for the young men?
Yeah. I mean, listen, there's people in your life that you'll come across that are talkers and they're young and they never follow anything up. Okay. Mm-hmm. I think for what Nebraska needs, which is a realistic expectation of just literally like winning the day. And I know stealing that from Oregon, whatever, but it's just, we have to win today. And if we win today enough, then winning today will become second nature. Then we can move on to bigger and better things. There's so many bad habits that were up there before that they have to break and they have to fix. But to do those things, you have to boil it down to simple. Like make it just easy. This is how we're going to do this. This is the methodology. We're going to really bust our butt in the weight room. This is going to make us better today. We're just going to win this day in our room. And I do like the things he's done. I like the fact what their staff has done of repairing a lot of broken relationships with a lot of coaching staffs. I picked up a Foley follow today, so we'll see what that entails. But yeah, it just I think they're doing a lot of things right, but I also think you have a polished set of people that are now in charge.
I'm still rattled about this mustache thing.
Better get over it.
I don't know. I'm still rattled about it. Matt, I got a question though.
I was more rattled by getting big time than a podcast.
Oh, come on. Come on. I do remember that though. That was a good pod. You and Tommy do a good job together.
Hey, they're very like-minded.
You though, your fiance look very nice.
Oh, thank you very much. I'll bring her in and you can give her some pizza. How about that?
Nah, you better just come in with Benny. Don't bring her in.
Fair. No, hey. So as a recruit in the '90s, the success of Nebraska sold itself. But what about today when you put yourself in a recruit's shoes, based on where the program is today, would you still say Nebraska can sell itself?
It can sell itself, but the sale is different, right? With Damon and everybody in the class of 92, which is probably the greatest class to ever go through Nebraska, experience was what were our other options, okay? Were we going to go to Kansas and get throttled? Were we going to go to Kansas State and get throttled? Were we going to go to Iowa State and get throttled? Were we going to go? Really the only one you had to worry about, like not coming to Nebraska from Nebraska, was Ryan Terwilliger. And that's just because Colorado was closer to where he was from.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Grant.
So now the sale of Nebraska isn't necessarily, hey, you're going to come in and be dominant. Your sale, and you got to sell to somebody with a vision, is you're going to be a key cog in the wheel to rebuild this and put it where it deserves to be. Put it where it once was. And if you think that that's something you want to be a part of, I'm going to wheel out a backup center that really played in 31 games and lives a pretty good life, and probably pretty soon will be an All-American if we keep losing. So you can live well if you just come in here and do the work, because these people here will be loyal to you forever. They will take care of any need that you have the rest of your life. If you can do that, if that's a life you want to live, great. Come on up here, because we're going to rebuild this thing with or without you. So it's more focused on, we have to have a vision toward the future, but you're also going to be in a really nice, facility, and you're going to have all the support staff you could ever need. But your long range of it is, if you come in here and have success, they will treat you as a king for the rest of your life.
Man, that brings up an interesting point. I've never asked you this from this angle, but you think it's more a problem in recruiting for Nebraska to not be as good as they once were? The fact that all the neighboring schools that you mentioned are better than, as a collective group, than they have been in a long time, where K-State can knock on the door. Kansas has momentum. We know about Iowa and Iowa State. Is that the bigger problem, or you think Nebraska just does Nebraska?
No, I think they sent a great message in their first recruiting class, like, hey, we got 8 in-state kids that we think are really good, and so they're staying home. How many times have we answered the question, oh my goodness, PJ Fleck came into such and such high school? Back in the covered wagon days when you and I played, Damon, it didn't matter who came into the school.
Mm.
It was irrelevant who was there, because we were going to Nebraska because they were good. Now, what Nebraska needs to do is win. And if you win, then a lot of these conversations become a lot easier, and you don't have to worry about Damon Benning sending Noah Fant to Iowa, and you don't have to worry about all those other things that happen. And you have your in-state kids want to be a part of your in-state program. That is winning, because nobody likes to go nowhere and lose. I'm not in the losing business. I don't want to lose. I want to win, because winning is much more fun than losing.
Hey,
Amen.
I caught the subtle shot too, jerk.
Oh, what?
Huh?
Oh, I said the inside part outside.
Yeah. Yep.
How much of a consensus will it be that Piper Zadiskas may very well be the toughest of all the Zadiskas?
Man, I don't even think that is a debate.
What about Uncle John? He was kind of tough.
Yeah, that's John. John has been overtaken by Piper. So now it goes Isaac. Well, it's probably Piper, Isaac, John, and then Ryan, Jen, Rob. Rob's brain is just too ginormous. Like it is.
Hey, Verz, we appreciate you.
Like, he's going to outsmart you to death, which is what he does, but whatever. So, by the way,
go ahead.
Rob takes a lot of cheap shots at Matt Hoskinson and I.
Yeah.
And if Rob really wants to, like, Will Shields on his NFL stuff says he's 6'3". I love Will Shields more than anything. Probably he's an awesome human being. Will Shields ain't 6'3", and you know that, Damon, and I know that.
Yeah.
And so if Rob doesn't stop messing around, I'm going to bust out a picture that shows me that's taller than Will Shields, so Rob can be quiet. All right, and go try to save a life and stop worrying about me and Haas and how awesome we are.
Verz, man, we appreciate your time. Hey, I'm gonna tag you in a post that I think is a handlebar mustache, and you can either talk me off my cliff or push me off my cliff or whatever. But hey, say hi to Tommy for me.
He's sick today. We're supposed to record yesterday, so hopefully Tommy Frazier is feeling much better, and we'll get 51-15 podcast.
Thanks, Matt.
An episode in the hopper this week.
Appreciate you, Matty.
Hey, thanks, Matt.
See you, boys.
Hey, and that'll do it for the show today. Pretty good ending to the show. Thanks for everybody joining us here at Hale Varsity Club for the live event. It's Coffee and Cream. We will be back next week.